Hello friends, welcome to Universe of Naruto X. If you love Naruto what if stories and anime explanations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin today's story. Hello everyone, this is your friend from Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back once again with a brand new fanfic which is what if Naruto was the legendary tailed Saiyan of Universe 6 and Caulifla Kale and Vados became his queens part 4. If you enjoy this story don't forget to hit the like button, thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Naruto fanfics like this. So without wasting any more time, let's start today's fanfic. While Gohan and Vegeta were fighting Jiren, Toppo had his hands full with 17 and 18. He had to admit that they were good separately, but together they were a force to be reckoned with, and he thought Jiren might have a tough time with them as well. Currently, he was running away from a barrage of energy beams 17 was firing at him. Toppo saw an opening and countered with his own attack, Justice Flash. He began firing off multiple energy blasts from his fingertips at 17. He was so focused on 17 that he didn't notice 18 running towards him until it was too late and she kicked him in his face, sending him flying back. I didn't need your help. 17 said, from the way things looked, you actually did. 18 said, I must admit, you two are fine warriors and have tremendous teamwork. You would make an excellent addition to the Pride Troopers. However, you come from the same universe as that Saiyan Goku, and I must not let evil prevail. Toppo said, sorry, but I would rather die than wear those hideous things you call a uniform. 17 said, I would rather be absorbed by Cell again than be seen in that. 18 said, that's a bit too far, don't you think? 17 asked, no. Was all 18 said, enough. You will not disrespect the uniform of the Pride Troopers in front of me. To do such a thing in our universe is a crime in itself. Toppo said, yeah, we don't care. 18 said, we're not from your universe. 17 said, they looked at each other and then they both shot an energy blast at him. The combined blast pushed him close to the edge before he managed to jump out of the way. He moved. 17 said, I've noticed. 18 said, Toppo appeared in front of 18 and kicked her away. 17 acted immediately and started to trade punches and kicks with Toppo. 17 was basically as strong as Goku in his Super Saiyan Blue form. So Toppo was having some trouble dealing with him. 18 came back and joined the fight and that's when Toppo really had a hard time. 17 and 18 quickly got the upper hand and broke through Toppo's guard and every punch and kick they threw at him connected and he was feeling the power between those punches and kicks. Stance looks like your god of destruction candidate is having a hard time. It's too bad his father Jiren can't save him. Champa said, why are you chanting for Universe 7, my lord? Vados asked, because Beerus hasn't been trash-talking me as much as Belmont has been doing. Champa said, Toppo has yet begun to show his full power. I'm not worried at all, Belmont said with full confidence. Lord Champa, you might want to check on Nar. It seems he has fallen asleep during the tournament, Mixerida said, pointing at Nar. He's not sleeping. Vados, please tell me he isn't sleeping. Champa said, I believe he is my lord. Vados said with a hint of irritation on her voice. It seems we found the one person who can get under your skin. Vados Marita said laughing. Hey Nar, wake your up. Caulifla said yelling won't work. Champa said well how does he usually wake up? Kaba asked simple Nar. I have a fresh feast prepared for you. Vados exclaimed and Naruto sat right up. We're doomed. Caulifla said, I wouldn't be so sure, Caulifla. Gnarly fell asleep because he's bored. He's waiting patiently for Jiren to become available and then fight him. Vados said, hey, Vados, do you have any more food? I'm starving. Goku said, sure. Vados said, you better not give him some of my food. Nar yelled, who are you yelling at? Vados asked sweetly, a nobody, but that food is my emergency food. You can't just give it away. What will I eat if I have an emergency? Nar asked, oh, he's right, Goku. I can't give this food away. Perhaps Whis can create you some food. Vados said, what do I look like, a servant? Whis asked, that's exactly what you are. Caulifla said, Caulifla, there's no need to be rude. Kale said, look who's finally talking again. Are you done with your random mood swings? Caulifla asked. It wasn't a random mood swing. I was angry about something and I'm over it now. Kale said, let's just watch the tournament. Hit said. Fighting area. Toppo was still having trouble finding an opening. Powered up to his max strength like he did against Goku and started to take over the fight with the androids. 18 was kicked away first, and then 17 was laying on the ground right next to her. I've told you I fight for justice and justice shall always prevail. Toppo said, oh, shut up. 17 said, your talk about justice is really annoying as hell. 18 said, let's show him our version of justice. 17 said. All three of the charged in and 18 managed to kick one of Topo's legs, knocking him off balance, and 17 blasted him with point-blank energy blasts. Before the smoke cleared, Topo used his Justice Flash again and 17 and 18 moved out of the way. The smoke cleared and Topo was bruised and his uniform was torn a little. Before he could speak up, 18 appeared behind him and caught his attention. He turned to fight her, but 17 called out his attack. Super Electric Strike. 17 threw a green wave of an energy attack at Topo, who went to dodge, but was kicked into the attack by 18, who managed to get out of the way. The attack was powerful and Topo was feeling the power behind it as he was being electrocuted as well as cut up from the attack. The move was finished and Topo fell to the ground with a lot of cuts and burn marks on his body. You're a tough one if you're able to withstand my ultimate attack, 17 said, pointing his hand at Topo. It's too bad that we have to eliminate you now. I guess your so-called justice wasn't enough. 18 said. They both created an energy blast in their hands and blasted Topo and he yelled out in pain from the combined attacks. After the attacks finished, Topo was down on one knee and was looking like he was out for the count. You're an annoying little fella, you know that, 17 said. At least he isn't talking about justice anymore. 18 said, and Topo stood up with a blank look on his face and his clothes destroyed. He's persistent. I'll give him that. 17 said. Yeah, it's too bad that your prized uniform of justice is in shreds. 18 said. Worthless. Topo said. What was that? 18 asked. Justice. It's worthless now. I've made up my mind. Topo said as he had a purple glow surrounding him. Stance impossible. How can this be? Beerus asked. This energy, it's almost identical to a god's. Shin said. Now's the time to show them that power. Belmod said. Fighting area. Topo began powering up, causing lighting to form and pieces of the ring started to rise up. 18 jumped back and watched from afar. All right, fine. Let's see this resolve of yours. 18 said. I don't like the look of this. 17 muttered. Topo continued to power up as his body increased in size. He let out a yell and the lightning became more intense than before and he destroyed the surrounding area with his power output. As he calmed down, a purple symbol appeared on his abdomen that went all the way up to his chest and his eyes were completely purple. What is this sensation? 17 asked. Stance. Yes, that's it. Belmod said. We're on the brink of our universe's elimination from here on. Kai said. It's a true fight for survival. Belmod finished with a laugh. Fighting area. I thought you were going to show me something impressive. All you've done is got a fancy tattoo and put on a mean face. Looking angry will do nothing. 18 said. Let's hope so, otherwise we're in deep trouble. 18 said. Don't tell me you're getting soft. 17. Let's test it out and see for ourselves. 18 said and fired an energy blast at Topo and watched as it disintegrated. Oh, what is that? 17 said. Stance destruction energy. Beerus said. But I thought the power of destruction was strictly for gods. Krillin said. You are indeed right. It's a power that belongs only to a god of destruction. Belmod exclaimed. And Topo is a candidate to be our Universe 11's god of destruction. Kai said. Now is the time to see the results of our training, right, Lord Belmod? Mixerida asked. You are indeed correct, Mixerida. Having made up his mind, Topo has abandoned his principles and is now no different from a god of destruction. You are all witnesses to the birth of Topo, the god of destruction, Belmod exclaimed. I don't like the looks of this. Do you think Naruto is going to be okay? Kale asked. Don't worry, Kale. Nar isn't even worried about him. Champa said. I thought he was just kidding about Topo being a god of destruction candidate. Krillin said. Apparently, he wasn't kidding. I can feel the power from Topo and if I was to fight him at Super Saiyan Blue Kaukan X20 the fight would be close. Goku said if the fight would be close between the two of you then either Vegeta or Gohan can take him on. Vegeta has caught up to your power and Gohan has surpassed you himself. Whis said fighting area. So what if you're a god of destruction? I won't back down from fighting you. 18 said and Topo raised his hand and created a purple sphere in his hand. Hawkeye Top fired the sphere of destruction energy at 18 and she held both hands up to stop it. She succeeded and grew more confident. Such a weak attack like this won't work on me. She said she tried to push it back and was surprised when it started to absorb her. She tried to fight it off, but it was too much for her. The shock wave from the attack created strong winds that shook everything and split the ring in half. Come out, weakling. I know you're there. Topo said. I was looking for an opening. You've certainly gone all out. 17 said. Justice and evil. I'm beyond that now. All that matters now is winning and survival. Topo said. You're right. Oops. Sorry. I'm just talking out loud. Don't mind me. 17 said. He walked out from behind the rock and had a stare down with Topo. Topo didn't say anything and just used his Justice Flash on 17 and it was stronger and faster than before. 17 quickly made a barrier to protect himself, but it was destroyed by Topo and he had no choice but to jump away. Even his normal attacks are a lot more stronger. 17 said, "There's no point in running. You won't escape," Topo said. Topo charged at 17, who fired multiple energy blasts at him, but they were all destroyed because of the destruction energy surrounding Topo. Seeing how this wasn't working, 17 ran away, but Topo easily caught up to him and punched him through 3 boulders. "Not just my barrier, but my energy attacks won't even work. That's disappointing, but there's always a weakness," 17 said. He began running and hopping around Topo, shooting energy blasts at him from all directions, and they still had no effect on him. 17 landed and shot a huge energy wave at Topo, and Topo just stood there. Topo grew tired of this and created his own attack of destruction energy. Beerus warned 17 and he tried dodging it. He wasn't fast enough and used an energy wave to move himself out of the way. The blast kept going towards the stands and Krillin was scared. "Stands. It's coming this way." Krillin said, "I don't want to die like this." Roshi said, "Calm down." Beerus said and the destruction energy flew over their heads. "That was close." Krillin said, "That confirms it. He needs to charge before he can use his destruction energy." Beerus said, "So if that opening is targeted, he has a chance at winning." Krillin asked, "No, you forget he can still surround himself with the destruction energy. Any direct attacks on him and whoever it is will just end up like the rubble." Whis said, "Fighting area. I can't win like this." 17 said, putting distance between him and Topo, who was still chasing after him. "What should I do now?" 17 asked himself. Topo landed and began firing his Justice Flash at 17 again, who kept running. Topo destroyed all of the rubble in the surrounding area with his attack, and 17 was left on one floating piece that was directly in front of Topo. "There's no place for you to run. It's over for you. I'll end it right here," Topo said. He created a sphere of destruction energy, but it was destroyed by a huge rock making contact with it that disintegrated. 1817 said, "So, you withstood my attack. I'm impressed. However, you should have stayed down when you had the chance." Topo said. 18 stood there severely wounded with her clothes torn and blood all over her body. There was so much blood on her that her hair was matted down to her face and she was breathing heavily. "I don't give a damn if you're a god of destruction. I'll destroy you just like your name implies." 18 said, "What can you possibly do covered in wounds? If you must, give me everything you have." Topo said, "Screw the rules. I'll kill you where you stand." 18 said, "She created 2 huge destruction energy to destroy them." 18 was shocked that this happened and wasn't prepared for Topo to charge at her. He punched her hard in the gut, making her cough up blood and then grabbed her by the face, slamming her through a huge boulder. He kept his grip of her face and lifted her up to his eye level. "I could easily destroy you right here. Unfortunately, I'd be disqualified if I did. Where is your own justice now? It can't save you anymore," Topo said. He squeezed her head, making her scream out in pain. He dropped her to the ground and just kicked her away. Not looking where he kicked her, she landed right in the arms of Naruto and she was barely conscious. Nar looked up at Krillin and saw the concerned look on his face and just sighed. He walked to the edge of the ring and gently dumped her over the edge. Stance 18 has been eliminated. The Grand Priest said, "Here, honey, take this senzu bean." Krillin said and fed one to 18. That was nice of Naruto to get her out of the tournament. Cuz said Naruto has a bit of a soft spot for women who have children. If 18 challenged him earlier, I doubt he would have fought her and eliminated her. He doesn't want to feel responsible for separating a mother from her child. Right now, in that instant, he had no choice because she was going to die if she kept fighting. Vados said, "That's quite the gentleman you've raised. Bad. Too bad you couldn't do the same with Champa." Mixerida said, "Actually, Naruto's been like that his whole life. He grew up basically by himself since both of his parents died and always felt like a child should never be separated from his or her parents. Despite him having a lot of eliminations, this tournament is forcing him to go against his own beliefs and rules of life." Vados said, "But he has his own precious people to protect, does he not?" Mixerida said, "Yes, according to him, he has 2 people that are important to him that he has to protect. If he had no one precious to him, I doubt he'd even want to compete in this tournament." Vados said, "So, what you're saying is if one or both of his precious people were to be killed, then he would lose interest in the tournament." Belmod said, sneaking a glance at Kale who saw this and got scared. "No, that's a horrible idea. If somebody killed one of his precious people, he'll hunt them down and return the favor." Vados said, "Wow, when you put it like that, he seems like a nice guy." Krillin said, he is a nice guy. If he wasn't, I wouldn't have offered him the opportunity to train underneath me. Vados said, I'll need to find a way to break him. He's too much of a threat to my universe. What to do? Belmont thought while taking another glance at Kale fighting area. Well, that was a bit harsh, don't you think? Nar asked. So, you've come to fall by my hands as well. Toppo said. Please. Even with your destruction energy powers, you still aren't even close to my level. Nar said, we shall see, Hawkeye, Toppo said and fired a huge sphere of destruction energy at Nar. Such an idiot, Nar said. He simply caught the attack in his hand and threw it right back at Toppo. Since this has never happened to Toppo, he quickly used the destruction energy surrounding his body to erase the attack. The attack and energy surrounding Toppo cancelled each other out and Nar rushed in and gave Toppo a quick beat down before he surrounded himself with destruction energy again. Like I said, you're not on my level. Nar told him and walked away. Well, that's interesting. 17 said as he looked on you, Toppo said as he turned to face 17. You have my praise for surviving this long, but try all you want. It's pointless. Toppo said, you've certainly grown now that you have your new powers. It's not over yet. I'll just do what I can. 17 said 17 powered up and created an energy attack, and Toppo did the same with his destruction energy. Both attacks were fired, and after a brief stalemate, Toppo's attack won and 17 had to jump out of the way. As he was running, Toppo once again used his Justice Flash to try and stop him, but 17 was just too evasive for him. 17 hid behind a rock trying to formulate a plan, but Toppo created hole in it and jumped through, aiming a punch at 17, who dodged and made Toppo punch the ground. No matter where you hide, it's futile, Toppo said. 17 didn't reply and looked up at the boulder behind Toppo and got an idea as it collapsed. He ran away knowing Toppo would follow him and was dodging Toppo's Justice Flash as he ran. He saw a huge boulder in front of him and took cover near it. Toppo, not realizing it was a trap, used his destruction energy to create a giant hole in the boulder and saw 17 on the other side with his arms pointed at him. 17 fired energy blasts and destroyed the boulder, making it collapse on top of Toppo. Toppo destroyed the rubble and jumped out and just fired relentless energy attacks at 17, who could only raise his arms to lessen the damage. After a while, the attack stopped and 17 dropped to his knees. I can't risk destroying you as well. I'll just end it with this next attack, Toppo said. He raised his hand in the air, creating a giant red energy attack in his hand. 17 looked up in concern at the attack and grit his teeth together. Feel my power, Toppo said. In a last-ditch effort, 17 jumped back and fired his own energy attack at Toppo's and destroyed it. Toppo came walking out of the smoke and did not look happy. Don't you see? Try all you want against me and my powers of destruction. You'll fail every time. I shall knock all of you who oppose Universe 11 off the stage. Toppo said before he could move, he had to jump back from crescent-like waves that were landing near him. He looked up and saw Jiren fighting against Gohan and Vegeta. And noticed he was having a hard time dealing with them. Jiren created a ball of energy and threw it at Gohan and Vegeta, who jumped out of the way, and the attack kept going until it hit 17. Toppo jumped next to Jiren, who nodded at him as Vegeta jumped out of the smoke and went to attack Jiren from behind. Toppo nodded back and kicked Vegeta away so he could deal with him. So the fake god has made his presence known. Vegeta said, you're fighting me now. Toppo said, you don't interest me, but I'll entertain you. After you're gone, I'm one step closer to obtaining the Super Dragon Balls. Vegeta said. Toppo began rapidly firing energy blasts at Vegeta, who just lifted his arms in front of him to block them. Eventually, Vegeta was starting to get pushed back and overwhelmed by the attacks and had to jump to safety. He powered up and used his own attack. Final Flash. The Final Flash went straight at Toppo, who countered with a giant sphere of destruction energy. They were locked in a stalemate and Vegeta was getting irritated. You won't beat me with some lousy energy of destruction. Vegeta said. Vegeta added more power to his Final Flash, and unfortunately it wasn't enough since Toppo added more power to his attack. And one Vegeta jumped out of the way and let the destruction energy go past him. I hope that's not all your powered up state has to offer. If it is, then you will not beat me. Toppo said. So this is his power as a god of destruction. But to obtain the Super Dragon Balls and keep my promise to Kaba, since I will be the last man standing, I can't lose here, Vegeta said. Toppo wasted little time and sped towards Vegeta, who was surprised by his speed and punched Vegeta in the face, sending him flying away. Toppo vanished behind him and shot him in the back with an energy attack. And Vegeta was sent flying up in the air. Toppo appeared above him and hit him with a double overhead hammer fist, sending him crashing into the ground. Vegeta jumped right up and Toppo was on him in an instant. He kicked Toppo's leg from underneath him, knocking him off balance, but Toppo planted his hand in the ground and managed to kick Vegeta away. There's no way this is the same guy from before. Vegeta said he remembered his first fight with Toppo and he was nothing like how he is now. Toppo fired off rapid energy blasts at Vegeta and he once again dodged them. Toppo charged in with a combo of punches and kicks that Vegeta blocked. He went for 2 more punches, but Vegeta caught both of them in his palms. After all that talk about justice, now you're talking about destruction. That's quite the change in attitude, Toppo. Vegeta said, if justice can't protect our universe, then I must abandon those principles and destroy everything that stands in our way. Toppo said he kicked Vegeta away and shot him with an energy blast, sending him through a couple boulders before he became stuck in one of them. A promise among Saiyans, don't make me laugh. Such a thing is pointless in our current situation. You won't beat me while you beat unnecessary things like that. I will survive at all costs. To that declaration, I have cast everything unnecessary aside, Toppo said. He lifted his hands and created a giant energy sphere and was poised to throw it at Vegeta. He was going to eliminate him and move on to take out 17, then challenge Nar. Universe 7, it's time for you to cease to exist. Your presence among us is no longer needed. Toppo said he threw his attack at Vegeta who was still stuck in the boulder. He cast aside everything unnecessary. To hell with that, Bulma, Trunks, Beulah, my promise to Kaba, my pride as a Saiyan. That's all I am and what motivates me to keep moving forward in life. Vegeta thought, I'm not like you. I cast nothing aside. Vegeta yelled. Toppo's attack made contact and Vegeta powered up and burst through it like it was nothing. He flew at Toppo, who was momentarily stunned by Vegeta's rise in power and punched him right in the face, sending him flying away and crashing into the boulder behind him. Vegeta led off a volley of energy blasts at Toppo, and each of them connected. Somehow he took off towards Toppo and kicked him in the face once, punched him 3 times quickly and kicked him away. He flew after him and punched through the attack Toppo created. With only this much power, how the hell can you call yourself stronger? Let alone declare yourself as a god. Vegeta said as Vegeta was talking, he was hitting Toppo with a countless amount of rights and lefts in his face. And again, every single one of them were connecting and Toppo was taking serious damage. He ended the attacks with another kick, sending Toppo flying away again. Stance, Toppo, Disso yelled. Damn it. Just destroy everything. As long as his body remains and he survives, that's all that matters. Destroy all of his attacks. No one will care if he's alive in the end. Just do it, Belmont exclaimed. Oh yeah, you can do it, Vegeta. Goku exclaimed. Fighting area. We shall survive at all costs. Hawkeye Toppo said he fired off a sphere of destruction at Vegeta and was surprised when Vegeta just punched right through it with no problem. Vegeta kept his momentum from the punch going and hit Toppo in the face again. You're a loser who can't even protect his own pride. Did you honestly think I would lose to somebody like you? Vegeta said. Vegeta dodged 3 more energy attacks and hit Toppo again. Toppo created another energy attack, but Vegeta was on him in an instant and punched him in the gut, making the attack fly away and destroy a boulder far away. Toppo desperately tried again, but Vegeta didn't let up. He kicked his arm and then did a spin kick, knocking Toppo to the ground. I'll give you my ultimate attack. It's something that is way too powerful to destroy, Vegeta said. Vegeta began powering up as much as possible until he was surrounded by a sphere of golden energy. Piccolo instantly recognized the attack and Nar knew about it as well since this is how his father died. Nar jumped over to where Vegeta and Toppo were fighting and just watched. Stance. Amazing. An incredible amount of energy is gathering from within Vegeta. Shin said, don't tell me you're actually going to use that attack. Vegeta, Piccolo thought as he remembered the last time he witnessed Vegeta use this attack against Majin Buu. I hope Vegeta knows what he's doing with this move. Krillin said, why? What's so wrong about this attack? Beerus asked. It's suicidal. The only way to survive this attack is if your body can withstand the stress from the amount of power you're releasing. Piccolo said, this isn't an ordinary attack. It uses the power from your life force as well. The last time Vegeta used this attack, he blew himself up. Krillin said, it would seem that Nar recognizes that move as well. Whis said, how does he recognize it? Vados Champa asked, it's how his father died. Kale answered, how long ago was this? Goku asked. Right before he was born. Kale said, let's end the conversation there and pay attention. That's Naruto's story to tell. Vados said, and everyone turned their attention to the fight between Vegeta and Toppo fighting area. Vegeta was still powering up his attack. And the power kept rising higher and higher. Toppo stood up and saw this. He powered up, creating two spheres of destruction energy in his hands and combined them into one sphere that grew to the size of Vegeta's attack. Toppo fired the destruction sphere at Vegeta and it clashed with his attack. The power struggle was amazing and terrifying at the same time. They both kept increasing their power, trying to overwhelm the other, and Toppo won out in the end when his attack basically absorbed Vegeta. He thought he won, but then Vegeta's attack burst through the destruction sphere and Vegeta unleashed all of his power, destroying the surrounding area and eliminating Toppo from the tournament stance. Contestant Toppo of the 11th universe has been eliminated. The Grand Priest said, Toppo, Dispo said as Toppo appeared next to him. That was a good job. Don't you think, Lord Belmont? Mixeria asked and he didn't answer. Impossible, Toppo lost. Kai said, wait, where's Vegeta? Shin asked. Vegeta sacrificed himself to defeat Toppo. Piccolo said. Everyone was looking on in wonder to what happened to Vegeta. And then the rocks floating around moved out of the way. Standing in the middle of a crater was none other than Vegeta. He was looking worse for wear and his clothes were destroyed, leaving him in only his ripped up pants and boots. He was breathing heavy, but he would be alright. Alright, he survived. Krillin said he detonated that much energy and survived. Roshi said astonished. I guess training with Whist and surpassing his Super Saiyan Blue limits, his body was able to withstand the attack. Goku said, but now Vegeta's used up all of his power. He can barely stand as is. Beerus said, you are correct, my lord. Also add in the fact that both Jiren and Naruto remain. This will be a tough fight for our three remaining fighters if they wish to survive. Whis said, I never thought it would come down to Jiren alone. Kai said, we're counting on you, Jiren. Dispo said, helping Toppo stand fighting area. How pathetic. I expected more from you, Toppo. Jiren said, wow, what a. Nar said, hey, how can you say that about your own teammate? Gohan asked, shut up. Jiren said and kicked him away. Okay, that was funny. Nar said laughing. You gained this much power without casting anything aside. I commend you for defeating Toppo. Well done. However, I'm built differently, and my power far surpasses that of Toppo. Now, feast your eyes on this. Jiren said and began to power up. What is he going to do now? 17 asked. Jiren's been holding back this much strength. Gohan said, if only you knew, Nar thought as he looked at Jiren power up. Jiren's power caused heavy winds and started to destroy some of the surrounding area. Once finished, his powerful aura looked like a burning flame. What unbelievable energy. Gohan said, what kind of monster is he? 17 asked. So, with all your friends gone, you finally decided to get serious. It's a bit late to try that since we have the momentum right now. It's a mistake on your behalf, and we'll make sure to capitalize on it. We have two opponents left and if we defeat the both of you, we win. Vegeta said as he walked out of the crater. Don't make me laugh. You can't beat me with those wounds. You stood no chance before and now you're running on fumes. Jiren said, you son of a bitch, Vegeta said and powered up to his new form as rushed at Jiren. What an idiot. 17 said. Gohan and 17 joined Vegeta in charging Jiren. Jiren used his now increased speed and appeared behind all three of them. He kicked 17 away and then Gohan and Vegeta flew at Jiren and began an assault of punches and kicks joined by 17 who recovered from being kicked away. Jiren had no problem blocking or dodging their attacks, but he was getting annoyed. These guys are such impudent gnats. Jiren said he caught Vegeta's punch and then punched him away. He elbowed 17 and kicked Gohan, sending the flying away. He jumped towards Vegeta, but had to dodge an attack by Gohan and then was hit by an attack from both 17 and Vegeta. Vegeta had to duck out of the way from an energy blast that Jiren sent at him from inside the smoke. Jiren flew at Vegeta with a kick, but 17 knocked him out of the way and took the kick into the chest, getting crushed between a boulder and Jiren's foot. Jiren finished it off with a point-blank energy blast to 17 and turned to look at Vegeta. Damn android, I don't need your help. Jiren, you're mine to defeat. Prepare to get your kicked. Vegeta said he flew at Jiren and started to attack him with everything he had. Jiren was blocking and then noticed Gohan come from behind him. He grabbed Vegeta's arm and kicked him away. Gohan flew in with punches and kicks at Jiren, and he had no choice but to block and dodge them since Gohan's power kept increasing. They landed and then Jiren went on the offensive against Gohan but stopped and quickly jumped back from energy blasts courtesy of Vegeta, who came flying down at him with a punch. No, you don't, Vegeta said and threw the punch, but Jiren caught it, creating a shock wave. A good punch. I can see why you were able to defeat Toppo. However, as I've already told you, it's not enough to beat me with, Jiren said. He powered up energy into his fist and punched Vegeta in the stomach, knocking him out of his Super Saiyan Blue transformation and sent him flying back. Gohan came flying in with a punch that Jiren easily caught. He punched Gohan in the face twice and kicked him back. He tried to use the same attack he just did on Vegeta, but Gohan dodged it and appeared up above Jiren and fired a Kamehameha down at him. Jiren crouched down, then used a stronger version of the attack he did on Vegeta against the Kamehameha and punched through it, sending Gohan flying away. Jiren began walking up to them, but stopped when 17 grabbed his shoulder. "Hold on, I've got a special present for you," he said. 17 blasted him in the back, destroying the rubble around them. He was sent flying out of the smoke from the explosion and into a collapsing boulder. "I guess that's what I get for being too reckless," 17 said as he stood up. "Damn you," Jiren said as 17 managed to wound him. "I guess Jiren doesn't like when somebody can actually hurt him. He's going to hate me then." Nar thought with a smirk. "That damaged look really suits you," 17 said, "you bastard." Jiren said. He let his anger get the best of him and charged at 17, who shot energy blasts at him, sending him back. 17 saw this and jumped next to Gohan. 17, you alright? Gohan asked. "Barely, but I'll be fine," 17 said. "You really are impressive. You know that. Thanks to your attack, I know how to deal with Jiren." Gohan said. "How?" 17 asked. "It looks like getting hit with an attack that big can hurt him and make him drop his guard. We wait for that opening and then hit him with an even bigger attack." Gohan said. "The same thing won't work twice on someone like Jiren." Nar thought. "I'll do anything to win." Vegeta said and powered up to his new form again. "First, me and Vegeta will get his attention. I'm that moment you strike." Gohan said. "I got it." 17 said. "Are you finished with your scheming?" Jiren asked. "Don't worry. We're going to pay you back for what you did to us." Vegeta said. "Now it's our turn." Gohan said. After a brief stare down, 17 shot an energy blast at Jiren's face. And once Jiren destroyed it, Gohan and Vegeta were right there on his face. They both sent a punch at his face that he blocked. They KNE him in the gut. Gohan kicked his legs from underneath him and Vegeta kicked him away. They rushed at Jiren and all of them began trading punches and kicks while 17 was trying to lock onto Jiren. Stance. I must say I'm really impressed with Gohan's growth during this tournament. Whis said. Yes, I'm surprised as well. Goku, why didn't you tell me your son was this good? Beerus asked. Honestly, you never asked. But before this tournament and Frieza's attack on Earth, Gohan completely gave up fighting. His skills dulled away so much that God and Trunks would have beaten him if they teamed up. He didn't start training seriously again until after Frieza was back. He didn't get back to his original self until a few hours after the Xeno Expo. After that, he trained in secret at the hyperbolic time chamber. Goku said. Yes, but his growth is astounding. Perhaps I should take over his training from now on and train you, Gohan, and Vegeta. Whis said. I wouldn't count on it. The only person Gohan trusts to train him is Piccolo because he knows he won't hold back and will actually try to kill him during training. I tried to train him once and he was angry at me for holding back. He won't train with you unless you go all out against him. Plus, he wants to train differently than me and Vegeta. Training with you would probably set him back. Goku said. I would train him in sensing divine energy, something Piccolo can't do. Whis said. Gon can already sense your energy. Unlike everybody else, Gohan's abilities are way above all of ours. He was able to detect your energy after the first time we met. He just thought nothing of it. Piccolo said. Answer me this, Goku. Who in this tournament do you think your son can defeat? Beerus asked. Honestly, everyone, including me, except for Jiren and Nar. Goku said. Surely you're joking. Beerus asked. No, I'm dead serious. This isn't the first time he surpassed all of us in strength. He surpassed us on Namek after Frieza hurt Piccolo and then he did it again when we had to fight Cell. Goku said. Whoa, he sounds awesome. I want to fight him next. Caulifla said. He would crush you even if you became a Super Saiyan 3, which you're still far off from becoming. Piccolo said. He's right, Caulifla. The power I felt from him when we first arrived was way above Super Saiyan 3 from what Goku showed us. Kaba said. So that's why Nar was so interested in Gohan. Champa said. Precisely. Nar must have sensed the depth of Gohan's powers and took an interest in them. When you look at it, they're mirror images of each other like our universes are. Vados said. I never thought of it that way. Goku said as he watched the fight. I hate to interrupt, but Vados, what is Nar doing? Kus asked, looking at Nar bob his head from side to side. I honestly don't know. I'll ask him. Vados said. Naruto, what are you doing? Vados asked telepathically and instantly regretted hearing his thoughts. Go Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. RRS. Naruto unintentionally replied. Cousin Marita noticed Vaud's eye twitched and grew amused at this. They've tried so hard to get under her skin throughout their entire life and never did it. But Naruto does it with ease. So care to tell us what he's doing? Mixerida asked with an amused tone. Not unless you want me to hurt your nephew. He's not even paying attention to the fight anymore. Vados said, I find it funny how we could never get you angry no matter how hard we tried. And yet Nar does it so easily. Mixerida said, I don't think he knows he's even doing it. That's what makes it even worse. Vados said, he's a bigger fool than the idiot monkey sitting next to me. Frieza said, after that comment, everyone felt an aura of death and looked at Vados, who had a stone-cold look on her face. This made everyone back up as far as possible. And even though they were nowhere near them, the Grand Priest also moved himself and the Omni Kings back a few feet. Don't talk about my son like that. Do you hear me? Vados asked, and Frieza was a ruthless person, but he knew when not to be a smart, so he nodded his head vigorously. Thank you, Vados said in a cheery tone. What the hell was everyone's thought at that moment? Fighting area. As Gohan and Vegeta were fighting Jiren, 17 found his spot and fired his attack at Jiren. Gohan and Vegeta backed off while Jiren was forced to raise his arms and block the attack. This won't work on me again. Jiren said he broke free of the attack and flew down at 17, who created barriers between him and Jiren that were easily destroyed. Jiren threw a punch at 17, who jumped back, but Jiren recovered quickly and quickly punched 17 twice, sending him flying into a floating rock. 17 fired a huge energy wave at Jiren, who put his hand out to block it. Vegeta was in the air with Gohan shooting small energy blasts at Jiren. Vegeta, this time, let's hit him all at once. Gohan said. Gohan and Vegeta teleported by Jiren. Gohan threw a punch that Jiren blocked with his knee and Vegeta went for a kick to the back of his head that was blocked with his arm. In one fluent motion, Jiren kicked both of them away. Gohan and Vegeta both fired strong attacks at Jiren, who was now caught in the middle of 3 strong attacks. Jiren had enough and released his own energy, destroying the attacks and sending all 3 of them flying away. Gohan and Vegeta fell to the ground, completely exhausted and out of their transformed state. 17 was also down and Jiren just looked down at them from on top of a floating rock. Time's up, Jiren said. He turned to look at Nar who was staring at him with a blank face. He was about to speak up when he was shot in the back by a small energy attack. He turned around and saw 17 standing there. He jumped down and stood in front of him. Just what can you do alone? Jiren asked. Well, a lot actually since I haven't given up just yet. Universe 7 will survive. 17 said, and then what? You'll survive and then what? What will you wish for with the Super Dragon Balls? Bellad asked. I'm going to obtain the Super Dragon Balls and then take a trip with my family on a cruiser. 17 said, are you joking? Bellad asked. I am serious. I'll leave the jokes up to you. After all, you're the only clown here. What about you, Jiren? Surely nothing other than being the strongest interests you, 17 said. Even I have a wish I want granted. Jiren said Jiren's wish. Kai asked. I knew it. Let me tell you all the reason for Jiren's obsession with strength. Jiren's parents were killed by an evildoer. He was rescued by the man who became his teacher. Jiren strove to master further strength and the right path with his teacher. One by one, Jiren gained new companions, and then the evildoer returned. He fought alongside his companions. Jiren thought they could win, but the enemy was too strong. One by one, all of Jiren's companions were killed. Even his teacher died in the fight. Jiren tried to rise again, but no one would stand with him. The weak could do nothing but obey the strong. Jiren was alone, abandoned by those he trusted. Jiren's grief was immeasurable. That's when he realized having trust is worthless. He also realized strength is justice. Strength is absolute. Winning will bring companions. Winning would get him everything. Emotions mean nothing. I was drawn to Jiren's thirst for strength and his solitude. Belmod said, so your wish, I see what it is here. I thought you were just a killing machine. You're just as human as the rest of us then. 17 said, that's enough talking from you, Belmod. Jiren said and blasted 17 back. Trust, huh? So you were just using the others to your own ends. 17 said, silence. You know nothing of Jiren. Belmod exclaimed. You live, but you're still obsessed with the past. 17 said, and Jiren appeared in front of him. He took a swing at him, but 17 jumped away. Looks like I've struck a nerve, 17 said. Jiren flew forward, grabbed him by the face and smashed him through a boulder and then punched him away into another pile of rocks. 17 recovered, and flew at Jiren with a punch, and Jiren countered with his own, locking them in a stalemate. Do you think you can make things better like the way they were if you win? Sorry to tell you, buddy, but it won't work. You think you can just bury the past. 17 said. Ridiculous, Jiren said as he grabbed 17 by the arm and threw him away. Strength is absolute. Strength forgives all, even the past. Lament your own weakness, Jiren said. He fired a strong energy blast at Gohan and Vegeta, who were still down, aiming to eliminate them. Gohan and Vegeta laid there helplessly as they watched the attack get closer and closer to them. That's when 17 appeared in front of them and started to hold back the attack with his barriers. What are you doing? Vegeta asked. At least save yourself, Gohan said. 17 was holding the barriers as much as he could, and Jiren had to add more power to his attack. 17 stood his ground despite the pleasing coming from his sister. One by one, the barriers broke, and each time one broke, 18 would beg him to stop. Hey, Gohan, Vegeta, I'm giving up on that cruiser I wanted. You better thank me for this, 17 said and placed a barrier around both of them. Hopefully, you got some rest. You're going to need it. Sacrificing myself for others. Look at me. Acting like a true human being. 17 said. The final barrier broke and 17 knew it was time to make his move. Gohan and Vegeta were on the ground bracing for impact, and that's when 17 made his move. He let out a yell, and the next thing everyone knew, an explosion happened, canceling out Jiren's attack. You were saved. Be grateful that he sacrificed himself to protect your weak asses. Jiren said. Rubble fell and revealed Gohan and Vegeta both laying on the ground inside of the barriers that broke apart from 17 sacrificing himself. The rocks they were laying on broke apart and they fell to the ring underneath them. Gohan couldn't stand up anymore since he took the most damage after Jiren powered up. Vegeta managed to get back on his feet and stared down Jiren. Nar walked around and noticed 17's shirt only remained from the explosion and looked up at 18 and then the Grand Priest, who nodded. Stance. Android 17 has been eliminated due to self-destruction. The Grand Priest announced and Zeno marked him off. He's gone. He sacrificed himself just to make sure we would win. I told him to get out of the way. Why didn't he listen? 18 said she refused to cry but let loose when Krillin pulled her in for a hug. In that instant, to save Gohan and Vegeta, not only did he put up a barrier, he self-destructed to erase Jiren's attack. Elder Kai said, this is bad. We're down to our last two fighters, and one of them is down, and the other can barely stand. Beerus said, looks like you're in a bad spot, Beerus. Belmont said, laughing at him. Perhaps you shouldn't laugh, Lord Belmont. Nar still remains and it is unclear if he will join forces with his counterpart Saiyans. Mixerida said he won't. Nar wants to fight Jiren alone and that's what he'll do. Vados said, I'm sorry to say this, but I think Nar wins that fight. Cuss said, what makes you say that? Whis asked. I mean, the amount of power Jiren's been putting out since he got serious is nothing to scoff at, and yet Nar hasn't even reacted to it. I'm beginning to wonder if his full strength steps into their boundaries. Cuss said, you can't possibly mean what I think you mean. Mixerida said with a slight terror in her voice. Yes, I'm beginning to think his power steps into the area only angels are in. He's not on our level, of course, but he would be stronger than all gods, yet just barely able to pass an angel. Cuss said, it's not possible for a mortal to obtain that kind of strength. Whis said, it was also impossible for mortals to use divine energy at one point in time, and it was also impossible for a mortal to be able to challenge and even defeat a god of destruction. Both things happened, so I wouldn't rule this out. I don't think his Super Saiyan 3 transformation is all he can do. He's hiding something, but we don't know what it is, Vados said, looking at Naruto. Fighting area. You still stand? Jiren asked as he landed across from Vegeta. Jiren, I'm more than enough to knock you off. Vegeta said, your teammate sacrificed himself to save you, too. Ridiculous. No matter how many weaklings gather against absolute strength, it's pointless. Yet you still intend to knock me off. Jiren said, yeah, I am Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, and I will defeat you. Vegeta said, breathing heavily, you can't. Jiren simply stated, that confidence of yours really pisses me off. Vegeta said he tried to power up but failed, only raising a few pebbles off the ground. No usual transformation this time. It seems you're having performance issues. Jiren said, and Nar snickered at that. This form is more than enough for the likes of you. Vegeta said he rushed forward and began taking Jiren with all he could. And Jiren didn't even have to try to block or dodge them. It's futile. Just throw yourself off the stage. Jiren said, still blocking Vegeta's attacks even though he didn't have to since there was no power behind them. Shut up, Vegeta said. He threw a left jab at Garen, which was dodged and his right fist was caught by Jiren. I see. Very well then. Playtime is over, Jiren. He hit Vegeta with an uppercut, sending him flying to another rock. Vegeta grabbed onto a crack on the rock to keep himself from falling off and being eliminated. I won't end here, Vegeta said. He thought about his talk with Kaba at the Xeno Expo and the promise he made. He also thought about the good times he's had with his family. And although he never would admit it, he loved seeing the smile on her face. Last but not least, he thought about his newborn, Beulah. He managed to pull himself back up to his feet and faced Jiren. I swear that Universe 7 is going to win. It's not over yet. Don't ever underestimate a Saiyan, Vegeta declared. A punch like that barely tickles. My son and newborn hit harder than you, Vegeta said. He charged at Jiren and swung a fist that Jiren leaned back from and punched Vegeta in the face again, sending him to the ground. It's not over yet, Vegeta said. He rushed in at Jiren again with another punch that was blocked. He followed up with another that was dodged and then got kicked back by Jiren. He rushed again and attacked Jiren twice. Both times were blocked and he was punched in the chest. He went for a punch to Jiren's gut, but he blocked it and KNE Vegeta in the ribs. Jiren proceeded to treat Vegeta like his personal punching bag. He punched Vegeta in the face with heavy punches ranging from jabs to uppercuts and haymakers. Gohan couldn't do anything but watch helplessly as Vegeta was utterly destroyed. Jiren finished up his assault with a heavy chop to Vegeta's shoulder. You can't win, Jiren stated. Even if I can't win, it doesn't matter so long as Universe 7 wins. If I'm going down, I'm taking your arm with me, Vegeta declared. He grabbed Jiren's arm and intended to break it off, but Jiren exerted energy from his arm, sending Vegeta flying away. Not yet. It can't end yet, Vegeta said as he stood up. Jiren put energy around his fist and just punched Vegeta in the face, causing him to break through a rock and bounce off another. He was saved from elimination by his heel getting caught on a rock. Vegeta, pull yourself together. Vegeta heard. Vegeta, what are you doing? Vegeta. He realized he was hearing Bulma's voice and it was annoying him. That damn woman. She just won't let me sleep no matter where I'm at. He said and lifted himself up to face Jiren again. Nar was watching on as Vegeta fought until he couldn't fight anymore. He gave Vegeta his respect and secretly acknowledged him as a true king. The fight is already over. What is it that drives you this far? Jiren asked. Who knows? But even if I told you you're just a cold-hearted, emotionless bastard, you would never understand what it means to fight to protect something. Vegeta said he jumped on the rocks, giving him momentum, and flew at Jiren with a punch. And he was simply swatted away like a fly. He planted his foot on the ground and heard Bulma's voice again. This time congratulating him and wishing him luck. Final flash. Vegeta fired off the weakest final flash he has ever done at Jiren and was at least proud that it connected. The smoke cleared and Jiren just stood there. So Vegeta rushed in with the last of his strength and threw a punch that was easily caught. I'll at least acknowledge your great pride. It's over, Jiren said. He punched Vegeta in the face with a hard right and it had enough force to send Vegeta flying over the edge. I couldn't keep my promise. I'm a damn fool and now I'm a liar as well. Gohan, I leave the rest to you. Vegeta thought he gave the rest of his strength to Gohan before he was officially eliminated. Gohan, feeling the power from Vegeta stood up and stared down Jiren. Vegeta, I hear you loud and clear, Gohan said as he powered up to his new form. Stance, Vegeta from Universe 7 has been eliminated. The Grand Priest announced as Vegeta appeared on the bench. Here, Vegeta, take this Senzu bean, Goku said and gave him one. Are you alright, Vegeta? Krillin asked. He's awake, so that's good. Sorry to tell you this, Vegeta, but you're in the spectator seats now. Goku said, thanks to your effort. Gohan's recovered a little bit of his power and stamina. Roshi said, Vegeta, you did really well. You've made your universe proud. Beerus said, it's good to see you're okay, though. Whis said, yeah, that was quite the whooping you took down there. Champa said, I can see why you call him your master, Kaba. Kale said, yeah, he's pretty strong. Too bad he wasn't strong enough to beat Jiren, though. We're doomed. Caulifla said, we still have Nar down there, Caulifla. Vados stated, yeah, I know, but I don't feel like he'll win. Caulifla said, does this have anything to do with your current animosity you have towards him? Vados asked, regardless of how you feel about him, he's our last hope of survival. So, you better put your feelings aside for now and hope he wins. Hit said, I guess you're right. Caulifla said, don't worry. I'll cheer for you if you don't want to, Caulifla. Kale said, of course you are. He's your boyfriend after all, Caulifla said. And Kale blushed. None of them noticed the gleam in Belmod's eyes at this revelation. Fighting area, I still can't understand it. Why put all their faith in you? I'll admit you are a skilled warrior, but against someone of my stature, you do not stand a chance. Trust beg it nothing. Jiren said, you really think so? I've been in this situation before. You're nothing more than another obstacle I have to overcome. Gohan said. Gohan got in a fighting stance and wasted no time charging at Jiren. They exchanged punches and kicks for a bit and they eventually disappeared, creating shock waves every time they hit each other. The fight didn't last much longer because Gohan ran out of stamina. And then Jiren just beat him the exact same way he did Vegeta. He ended the assault on Gohan by kicking him in the back of the head, sending him flying away and hitting the ground unconscious. Stance. Finally, the fight we've all been waiting for. Caulifla said, as much as I hate to agree with the loudmouth, I am also looking forward to this fight. Vegeta said, we're finally going to see how strong both of them really are. Beerus said, they're both practically at full health, so there will be no excuses for why the other lost. Roshi said, I believe this fight will get hectic. Marita said, Nar versus Jiren. This fight has been building since Nar arrived at the tournament. Kus said, doesn't matter who it is. Jiren's going to win this tournament. Belmod said, how about we watch the fight instead? Vados said, oh man, this has got my blood pumping. I've lost to both of them. I really want to see who's the strongest. Goku said, come on, Nar. Champa said, kick his. Caulifla yelled, fighting area. So, you're finally done hiding. Jiren said, please, I've done everything but hide. I've even kicked you already. I'm sure you remember that. Nar said, that's in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. Jiren said, this is coming from somebody who refuses to move on from his past experiences. Nar said, shut your mouth. Do not patronize me, Jiren said. Is somebody mad? You get no sympathy from me. You're just a grown man that's afraid to grow up and move on. Nar said that did it. Jiren began releasing his power and Nar just smirked at him. Nar released a bit of his power as well and matched whatever Jiren put out. Their power was strong, especially Naruto's, and he hasn't even transformed yet. I hope you're ready to lose. This will be the last fight that you'll ever fight in. Jiren said, big talk from somebody who practically hid the entire tournament. While you were hiding, I was honing my skills, getting better every time I faced a new opponent. Nar said, the stage was set and everyone was on the edge of their seats. This was the fight that will make everything else look like kid fights. Marita and Belmod were silent staring at Jiren while Champa and Vados were staring at Nar. Good luck, Nar. Vados spoke telepathically. He didn't respond and simply smirked a little bit. Unknown to Nar, Vados was secretly showing the fight with Jiren to Sala, who was at home when the screen with the fight popped up. Good luck, big brother, Sala said. Jiren and Nar were still staring each other down. And then Nar smirked, which for some reason made Jiren angry. Nar seeing this only said one word, go. Go. Such a simple word that held so much meaning behind it. As soon as Naruto said go, he flew off with Jiren flying after him. Jiren began firing energy blasts at him, but he simply moved around them with no problem. Jiren caught up to him and powered up more, giving him the advantage, and started to throw punches and kicks at Nar. Some of them connected, but Nar wasn't taking any damage, which further infuriated Jiren even more. Eventually, Naruto managed to get away from Jiren and flew in front of the bleachers where everyone was seated. He laughed a little bit and spoke up. You've had your fun, Jiren. Now it's my turn, Nar said and started to power up. Stance. This is some fight, Krillin said. Yeah, I know, but this is just the warm-up. Piccolo said, you are indeed correct. I have a feeling that Ring won't survive. Whis said, he's exerting so much power for a simple transformation. It feels like he's going Super Saiyan 3. Kaba said he isn't going Super Saiyan 3. He's at most going Super Saiyan. Kale said, how do you know that? Caulifla asked. I don't know. I just feel his power for some reason and can tell what he's about to do. Kale said, looks like you found your Saiyan soulmate. Vegeta said, not taking his eyes of the fight. What do you mean? Kale asked. I'm sure you already know about the Saiyan soulmate and what comes along with it. However, there's another thing as well. If the two Saiyans have a strong enough bond that usually grows stronger through an emotional time or difficult situation, you'll be able to sense their next move or hear their thoughts. Vegeta said, wow, Vegeta, I didn't know that. How come it hasn't happened to us? Goku asked, because our soulmates aren't Saiyans. It only works between two Saiyans. Vegeta said, look at that, Kale. So, when's the wedding? Caulifla asked. You don't necessarily have to get married. If the bond is that strong between soulmates at such a young age, like it is between you and Nar, a marriage and wedding isn't needed. A piece of paper shouldn't tell you how much you love each other. I only wish I met Bulma before so I wouldn't have to deal with the stress a wedding brings. I'm sure Kakarot can attest to that, Vegeta said, getting a nod from Goku. Wait, so what happens if one or the other is severely hurt by an enemy or killed? Krillin asked. I don't know. It depends on the person. Some may break down and fall apart, and some may grow stronger from the loss, Vegeta said. Enough of your stupid Saiyan heritage. We have a fight to watch now. Shut up, Belmont said. He stored away that last bit of information and ducked out of the way from an energy blast. Whoops. Sorry, my hand slipped. Caulifla said and Vegeta smirked. I like her, Kaba. You'll be a lucky man in the future once you grow a pair and mate with her. Vegeta said with a smirk. What the hell, dude? I don't like him. Caulifla yelled. Yep. My wife has the exact same reaction to me when somebody said the exact same thing to her. You'll come around eventually. Vegeta said, how are they flying? I thought flying wasn't allowed. Tien said, I guess the limitations the Grand Minister and King Zeno placed on this place has no effect on them. I'm guessing they'll be able to fall though and won't be able to fly if they sink to a certain point. Whis said, you are correct. We hadn't anticipated such strong competitors in the tournament, so we only made it so only top-tier gods and above were able to fly. Apparently, those too far exceed those limitations. The Grand Priest said, fighting area. Nar was powering up while Jiren was charging right at him. Eventually, he finished powering up to Super Saiyan like Kale said, and Jiren kicked him down. Nar quickly recovered and flew at Jiren, kicking him away. They clashed and had a brief exchange before Jiren landed a hard uppercut that had no effect on Nar, who countered with his own uppercut, which knocked a lot of spit out of Jiren's mouth. Jiren shook it off and charged at Naruto with a flying fist. Nar countered by grabbing Jiren's wrist and throwing him over his shoulder. He gave Jiren an elbow to the ribs and followed up with a kick to the back of Jiren's head, sending him crashing down to the ring. Nar lifted his hands up above his head, gathering energy between his hands and then fired multiple energy blasts at Jiren. Jiren was getting pelted by the energy blasts and they were knocking him around. Eventually, Jiren grew tired of this and powered up, making Naruto stop the attack. He flew at Nar and they began teleporting while throwing punches and kicks. As they were teleporting around, Nar grew a smirk which infuriated Jiren even more. They flew around some more as the fight turned into a battle of speed. They clashed again and this time Nar had complete control of the fight at the moment. Jiren went for a punch, but Naruto dodged it and kicked him in the face. Jiren powered up again and this time he was slightly stronger than Naruto's Super Saiyan transformation and kicked him away towards the ring. Jiren went after him and Nar suddenly appeared behind him and kicked him to the ground. They fought some more and they were completely even. They created energy blasts and fired them at each other. The explosion from the attacks sent them into the walls of the Null Realm and everyone grew concerned. A few seconds go by and both of them are seen flying out of the opposite side of the wall they went through and met in the middle with a fist to each other's face. Stance. This is one hell of a fight. Caulifla exclaimed, I know. I can't even keep up with them. Kaba said to think this is just a warm-up for them. Krillin said, this isn't some warm-up anymore. Jiren's taking this seriously. He had to power up like 3 times before he matched Naruto's power in Super Saiyan. Tien said, oh man, I wish I was in there right now. Goku said excitedly, you would be easily beaten with the amount of power they're using. They are way past what you were at even after you accessed Ultra Instinct again. Champa said, he's right, Goku. You're strong, but not their level of strength. Whis said, but I forced Lord Beerus to use 70% of his power when I first went Super Saiyan God. I'm way stronger than I was back then. Goku said, I lied. You barely made me use 2% of my power against you. You're no match for them, and you still have a long way to go. Beerus said, what? Seriously? Goku asked. Yes, I'm serious. Perhaps if you and Vegeta did the fusion against me, you might make me use more of my power, but it probably won't be much. Beerus said, wow, Vados, you've trained Naruto really well. Cus said, thank you for the compliment, Cus. Bad said, it's a shame that you don't know how strong he really is. We could have used that to our advantage. Mixerida said, sorry, I can't help you with that. There's maybe one person alive who knows how strong he really is, but she's not here. Vados said, who might that be? Whis asked. It's a little girl he's grown quite fond of, and they share an older brother, younger sister type of relationship. I'm actually showing her the fight right now through my staff. Vados said, well, he's lucky she isn't here. It saves him the embarrassment of being defeated by Jiren's own 2 hands. Belmont said, well, apparently we're watching 2 different fights. If you hadn't noticed, you clown. Naruto's kicking Jiren's. Champa said and Belmont sat there in silence fighting area. The fight continued on with Jiren kicking Naruto's feet from underneath him while they were in the air. Nar didn't let this stop him as he began fighting Jiren upside down with little difficulty. Nar kicked Jiren back and Jiren stopped himself and powered up way farther than what he was currently at. Nar rushed in with a punch to the face that had no effect on Jiren. Jiren punched him in the gut, knocking the wind out of him, grabbed him by the ankle, and flew down towards the ring, slamming Nar into the ground multiple times before throwing him into a boulder, shooting multiple energy blasts at him. Wow, Jiren, I must admit that you're pretty strong, Nar said laying down on his back. I'm the strongest in this tournament. My strength is absolute, and your strength pales in comparison to mine. Jiren said, you may have strength, but it's not true strength. Nar said standing up, strength begets strength. Strength makes you a winner. Jiren said, oh, cut the underscore, your strength is meaningless. True strength comes from a desire to protect something. Something like a promise or your precious people. You're surrounded by people that love you. Your childhood friends and parents would be ashamed of the man you've become. Nar said, shut up, Jiren replied. Jiren charged in and grabbed Nar by the face and slammed him through boulders. He held him up by his shirt and relentlessly punched him in the face. And if he wasn't blinded by anger, he would have noticed that none of the punches he did weren't doing any damage. Nurid had enough and broke free of Jiren's grip and kicked him away. Nar saw Jiren laying on the ground and started to punch him with heavy blows, forcing Jiren to raise his guard. Jiren blasted Nar away and they began another round of fierce attacks. They began fighting all over the Null Realm and creating shock waves every time they collided, making the competitors on the stands brace themselves from being blown away. Whisk created a barrier around the bleachers so everyone would be okay. The fight was so intense that the Grand Priest was thinking about teleporting them all to another place because the ring most likely wouldn't last longer. Jiren managed to kick Nar back into Whisk's barrier. But as soon as he did, Naruto powered up to Super Saiyan 2 and was on Jiren in an instant with a hard punch to the jaw and then a kick to his face. Jiren sent a strong energy blast at Nar who just flew around it before punching Jiren back. You're weak, Nar said as he punched Jiren again. A disgrace, Nar said and blasted Jiren. Your master would be ashamed of you. Nar said as he blasted Jiren away, sending him sprawled out onto the ground. Stance H, he's making Jiren look like nothing. Goku said yes, and what terrifies me is that he hasn't fully powered up yet. The power he's exerting in his Super Saiyan 2 form is stronger than what it was before. Piccolo said, it's a good thing Whis put this barrier up. Otherwise, this bench would have been destroyed by now. Krillin said. Vados, has Nar always been this ruthless when he fights? Cuss asked. No, this is the first time I've seen him like this. He's usually calm when he fights. Vados said, I guess Jiren's views on life and strength struck a nerve in him. Cuss said, Lord Belmont, should we begin to worry about Jiren's defeat? Mixerida asked, no, Jiren will be fine. It'll all work itself out in the end. Belmont said with a mysterious voice and took another glance at Kale. Mixerida caught this and became worried. Please don't do what I think you're thinking about doing. Mixeria thought. Go on, Nar kick his. Caulifla said, well, look who came around. Champa said, oh, please. I'm only doing this because I don't want to die. After this is over, it's back to hating him again. Caulifla said, fighting area. Jiren stood up and wiped the blood off of his face and powered up again. And Naruto did the same. They stared each other down with a glare and then they vanished. Shockwaves were once again all over the Null Realm as the two fierce competitors exchanged blows. Jiren would occasionally throw in an energy blast and Naruto would do the same. They separated and then went right back to fighting. Every time Jiren connected on a punch, Naruto would respond with a punch of his own. This went on until they both were heavily bruised and bleeding. Naruto went for a kick to Jiren's head, but he ducked out of the way, and the force behind the kick was enough to destroy all of the rocks behind them, turning them into dust. They traded punches and kicks again for a while, and then Jiren pressed on even harder, forcing Nar to go on the defensive. The more Jiren pressed on, the more confident he grew that he would win. Nar jumped back and then flew at Jiren and fired a point-blank majestic grenade at him. What? Nar said Jiren was seen standing there perfectly fine and had his hand up with an energy attack in his hand and a serious look on his face. He fired the attack and it carried Naruto in the air before exploding. The attack was so powerful that it knocked Nar out of his Super Saiyan state, but he lessened the damage he would have taken by turning his majestic grenade into a shield before the attack exploded. Nar began falling out of the sky, seemingly unconscious. Stance. He's persistent. I'll give him that. I told you, Marita, there was no need to worry. Jiren's got this in the bag. Nar can't win if he's unable to keep up with Jiren's constant increase in power. No matter how much he powers up, Jiren's power will always overwhelm him. Belmont said, you're right. Such a shame he was a good fighter. His inability to keep up with Jiren's increase will cause him to falter and crumble. Our victory is only a matter of time. Mixerida said, you're right. Somebody with that much power but has no idea how to properly use it and continues to fight is merely a futile resistance to delay defeat. Kai said, what a load of crap. You say he's unable to properly control his power, yet he was just manhandling Jiren for the majority of this fight. Do you not remember that Jiren's already had to power up multiple times just to pass Naruto's power as a regular Super Saiyan and then do it again once he went Super Saiyan 2? Saying he has a problem keeping up with Jiren's constant power increase might be true, but that just means he has something else to improve on and adapt to as the fight goes on. To ignore that and decide the outcome disgusts me. Since when did you gods become so hasty? Kale said, what is your point? Kai asked. Are you saying he'll be able to adapt to Jiren's fighting ability and somehow win? That's impossible. Talk about a load of crap. Bell said laughing and Kale stood up. What makes you so sure? So far in the limited time of this tournament of power, all of us Saiyans have broken through our limitations and setbacks time and time again. Kaba became a Super Saiyan 2. Caulifla was able to properly transform into Super Saiyan 2 again. Goku has tapped into a power that only gods have ever used. Vegeta broke through his limits and defeated a god of destruction in Toppo. Gohan has surpassed his limits and I am able to use my Saiyan abilities without going on a rampage. You've witnessed all this yourself, Kale said and shot him a glare. Belmod turned to the fight and saw Nar still falling, but sparks could briefly be seen around him. Jiren, end it already. Defeat him. Knock Nar off the stage, Belmod said. And Jiren prepared an attack and flew up at Naruto's falling body. Naruto, I know you can hear me, so listen up. You're the last hope for Universe 6. We're all placing our hopes and dreams in your hands. Losing here is unacceptable and will be a complete embarrassment on all our behalf. You're stronger than all of these so-called gods who can't even think without an attendant by their side. Do you really want to let Sala down? You need to get your gear and defeat Jiren. Kale yelled. Jiren threw his fist covered in energy at Nar. Nar suddenly flipped around and let out a ferocious yell as he transformed to his max Super Saiyan 2 form, causing Jiren to back off and cancel his attack. Nar took a deep breath and then looked at Jiren with a calm yet cold demeanor. Wow, Kale, that was some speech. I've never heard you speak so passionately about anything before. What brought this on? Caulifla asked. Well, for one, I care about him. You weren't going to do anything to encourage him, and Vados and Champa have done enough praising of him as is. So, I decided to help him out. He's been fighting angry this whole time, and he needed to bet his act together. Kale said, she's right, Caulifla. Nar has indeed been fighting angry. I'm sure if anyone other than Kale was the one to give him that speech, it wouldn't have worked. Now we're about to see how Nar really fights, Vados said with a smile. I think you should begin to worry, Mixerida. Kus said, oh, why is that? Marita asked. Because I can feel Naruto's power steadily increasing, and it doesn't seem to have a stopping point. This fight is about to become more dangerous and intense, Kus said, making everyone turn their attention to the fighting area. Jiren began falling back down to the ground, and Naruto was falling after him. Once Jiren landed, Naruto twisted his body in the air, going in for a double stomp, but Jiren threw his fist out and launched an energy attack at Nar. Nar landed on the attack and bounced off it and slid backwards on the ground with his hands and feet faster than anybody other than the angels and gods can see. Nar shot off towards Jiren, who moved out of the way, and Nar went crashing through some boulders. Nar corrected himself and flew at Jiren, who came flying out of the dust cloud that was caused by the destruction of so many rocks. They met in the middle with another clash and started another round of heavy punches and kicks. While Jiren's attacks were stiff and brutal, Naruto's were elegant yet still kept their power every time one connected. The more the fight went on, the more Naruto's power swelled, and this put Belmod on edge. Kus could sense that Naruto's power was rising on its own and couldn't help but let an unnoticeable smile come on her face. The more the fight went on, explosions and shock waves were happening, and eventually the barrier Wisp put up was shattered. Every punch Jiren threw was blocked or deflected, and then he was countered with another punch from Naruto, who was having the same thing happen to him from Jiren. Stance. Looks like Kale's pep talk managed to get Nar back on track and fight how he usually fights. Champa said, but we're back to square one from when the fight first started. They're locked in a stalemate, and neither can gain the upper hand. Kaba said, did anybody hear the war cry that came from Nar? It sounded like a wild beast was trying to escape its prison. Caulifla said, don't worry. Nar has everything under control. His power is fierce, yes, but it's also calm at the same time. Kale said, fighting area. Jiren and Naruto were going around in circles fighting each other. Their attacks eventually lead to a bright light surrounding both of them. As both of their power increased higher and higher, the shock waves became more violent and they remained focused on the fight. Jiren fighting with the intentions of hurting Naruto and Naruto fighting with the intention to just win the fight. During the fight, Nar smirked and closed his eyes while continuing to fight, which infuriated Jiren. They teleported around the arena and suddenly Naruto's power skyrocketed and he took control of the fight. Stance, what the hell is he closing his eyes for? Caulifla asked. Don't worry, he's fine. I believe he is trusting his battle instincts right now and is focusing only on the fight. Vados said, why would he do that? Doesn't he know that all of our hopes and dreams are in his hands? Kaba asked. Of course he does, but it's causing him to be distracted during the fight. Earlier, he was fighting aggressively because of the heavy burden placed on him. He's fighting not just for your hopes and dreams, but the entire universes. All of that doesn't matter to him right now. And he's finally realizing that the only thing that matters in this moment is his victory. His acceleration of energy isn't from confusion, but from pure impulse, hesitation, panic, even fear itself turned to nothing, in his burning desire to just win. All he can feel is his opponent and himself. The rising power and heat we feel is him tapping into his full power, something we've all been waiting for. Vados said, do you think he's going for Ultra Instinct? Beerus asked, I doubt that. All this time he's been powering up and has been in his Super Saiyan 2 form. If he wanted to use Ultra Instinct, he would have dropped his transformation. I don't think he wants to use something that's incomplete and risk losing. He has something else up his sleeve. Vados said, this isn't looking good, my lord. Mixerida said, what's going on with him? Not just his power, but now his heat is radiating all the way over here. Kai SS, who cares about that, Jiren? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and end it, Belmod said. Fighting area. Jiren hearing Belmod's words kicked Naruto's aura away somehow and then blasted him away into a rock. Jiren flew after the rock and then kicked it towards the elimination area. After Nar broke the rock and landed, Jiren began throwing energy blasts at him non-stop and each time one would hit a piece of the rock Naruto was standing on would break. All you saw was a speck of gold amongst the heavy fire of attacks. Stands. Jiren's attacks are becoming more ferocious, and Naruto doesn't have much ground left to stand on. Fua said worriedly. His attack is a combination of shock waves from his rapidly moving fists and punches. He's trying to end this before Naruto can power up again. Hit said, look where Naruto's at. Once that rock crumbles, it's bye-bye. Universe 6. Caulifla said, the rocks surrounding him are crumbling as well. He needs to hurry or there'll be nowhere left to run. Hit said, Nar, get out of there. Jump to another rock while you still have time. Kaba said, he can't. He's too busy blocking Jiren's attacks. Sional, one false move and we won't have to worry about the rock crumbling. He'll basically eliminate himself. Hyena said, can't he do something? There has to be a way. Kaba said, be quiet. Kale said, huh. Kaba said, just shut up and watch. Champa said in a serious voice as everyone began watching the fight again. Looks like Champa has accepted his fate. Belmod said, this time it's decided for sure. Kai said, either he loses that power is building up first or he loses his footing. All that's left is to see his demise. Yes, Mixerida said. Yes, indeed. At long last, all of this will be over soon, Belmod said. And Topo noticed something. Sparks, that's the school from the force of their fists hitting each other. Topo said, looks like Naruto's ready to go on the offensive. I guess he's gathered the power he needed. Vados said, fighting area. Jiren, seeing Nar beginning to counter, added more speed and power to his attacks. This didn't work as Naruto began to slowly rise and once he was at full height, he sent a powerful attack right in the opening. Jiren's attack left, striking him right in the stomach. Jiren was pissed. But up in the stands, Caulifla and Kaba were celebrating the loudest and occasionally dragging Kale into the celebration. Nar let out another ferocious yell that sounded like a beast trying to escape and created a golden typhoon beneath him with sparkles and multiple different colors around it. Jiren jumped back and watched as Nar began absorbing all of that power back into himself. Nar, that last strike and this power you've built to defeat me. I guess I'll have no choice but to respond in kind. Jiren said and powered up himself. Stance. Woo go Nar, Caulifla exclaimed. He's finally showing his true power. This is incredible. I don't think any of us could have imagined this much power from him. Kaba said, yes, this power is thousands of times stronger from the last time I trained him. Vados said, I can't believe how much power those two have. Topo said, guarding himself from the ferociousness of Jiren and Naruto's power. This force from both of them is enough to crush us as well. Kai said also guarding himself, who cares? It doesn't matter so long as we win. Finish him once and for all with unavoidable, unstoppable, and absolute power. Belmont exclaimed. Fighting area. Jiren gathered all of his power for his attack and created a huge ball of energy around him. The energy shrunk down to the size of a baseball as Jiren pointed his hand at Nar, who was just standing there absorbing energy. Hurry up, Jiren. Hurry and defeat Nar. Belmont yelled, farewell, warrior. It's over. Jiren yelled. He fired his attack at Nar, who was suddenly surrounded by a golden orb. Nar planted his foot, and the next thing everyone knew, Jiren's attack as well as the typhoon Nar created simply vanished along with Nar. Everyone looked around and Jiren slowly turned and saw Nar standing there still surrounded by the golden orb, but he was holding Jiren's attack in his hand. Nar crushed the attack like it was nothing and walked towards Jiren, who threw a punch at Nar. Everyone watching should have been watching in slow motion because that's how this moment felt. Jiren's attack missed as Naruto did a smooth backflip and Jiren was suddenly hit 3 times, making him stumble back with a confused look on his face. Jiren went for another attack, but Nar simply knocked it away and destroyed all of the rocks floating around the area. Jiren charged in like a wild bull at Nar, and it seems as if Nar just walked by him. Jiren was then hit with multiple attacks that he didn't see and was sent flying into rocks laying on his back. The golden orb broke away and Naruto stood on top of a boulder in his Super Saiyan 3 state, but the difference was his hair was a lot brighter and more spiky. The static around him burned away his shirt and he looked down at Jiren with the same calm yet cold demeanor that sent a small shiver down Jiren's spine. Stance, whoa, that power is incredible. Caulifla said in awe. Now you people realize why I said he's stronger than me. I wasn't lying and I still feel as if he's holding something back. Champa said, that's because he is. Vegeta said, what do you mean, master? Kaba said, Kakarot, have you noticed the feeling coming from that stranger light? Vegeta asked, huh, oh, yeah, it feels like the energy we needed when turning into a great ape. Why? Goku asked. Nar has a tail, and for some reason, he hasn't transformed into a giant ape. I know that he can feel the energy as well and he's even looked at the strange light multiple times. Vegeta said, so, you're saying he has a lot more power within him than he's using right now? Goku asked. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. However, I don't know how much. Vegeta said and looked at Vados. I don't know either. I do know he's hiding something. He's never been able to transform so smoothly into Super Saiyan 3. Like I'm sure Goku knows, Super Saiyan 3 puts a lot of stress on the body because the power has to come from deep within. Right now, the amount of power he's using is almost as strong as Lord Beerus. Bad said, hey, look, they're starting again. Kale said, fighting area, Nar. Jiren said through clenched teeth. I hope you're ready, Jiren. The real fight starts now. Nar said they were having a stare down with Jiren having a face full of anger and Nar having a calm demeanor still. Nar planted his foot and took off faster than anybody other than the strongest gods and all angels could see. Nar reached Jiren in less than an instant and Jiren was barely able to move and got a huge cut on the side of his face. Nar didn't intend on Jiren moving and went crashing through some boulders. He stood up unharmed and turned to look at Jiren, who was now standing. Stance. Whoa, that's some speed, Caulifla said as all she saw was Naruto stand up after rocks fell. Yes, his speed on par with that of Lord Beerus when he goes all out, yet his power doesn't match it. Whis said, with that amount of speed and power, there's no way Naruto can lose this. Kaba said, we'll see about that. Belmont thought looking at Kale fighting area. Don't get just because you've powered up. Jiren said. He rushed in at Naruto with a combination of punches and kicks that were all dodged with elegance and grace, which made some people think he was using Ultra Instinct again. Nar back flipped out of the way and Jiren rushed at him with an onslaught of attacks and Nar just blocked and dodged them all. Jiren began yelling as he couldn't land a single hit on Nar. He went for another left hook, but Nar caught his arm and kicked him away with ease. Jiren flew up in the air and created a huge ball of energy above his head and threw it at Nar. Seeing the attack coming, Nar shot a small energy beam at the attack, destroying it, and Jiren was surprised at how easy he did it. Jiren and Nar flew at each other and began trading blows again. But this time, Naruto was in full control, and Jiren couldn't get his guard up in time, so he was getting hit by everything Naruto threw at him. Nar knees him in the gut, uppercuts him, kicks him in the head, then follows it up with another strong punch to the face. Jiren started rapidly for an energy blasts at Nar, and he dodged all of them doing backflips. Jiren swiped his hand horizontally, and a wave of energy was fired at Naruto, who jumped over it and ran at Jiren and punched him. Jiren met his punch with one of his own. And then they began attacking each other again. Nar picked up speed, easily, broke through Jiren's guard, and proceeded to just beat him mercilessly until he had enough and just disappeared, giving Jiren a punch to the back of his head, a kick in the spine, moving him forward. And once Jiren turned around to counter, Naro already had his fist buried in his gut and blasted him away through multiple boulders. Stance. That's so awesome. After struggling against Jiren, now he's in control. Caulifla said, it's not over yet. Champa said, yeah, Jiren hasn't powered up to his max yet. This fight is still unknown. However, I do feel a glimpse of power Nar is allowing me to feel, and it's scary that he's this strong at such a young age, Kus said. What do you mean as much as he's allowing you to feel? Marita asked. I mean, it's like he can sense me trying to get a read on his power that's not being used and is only allowing me to get a glimpse into what it is. Kus said, what? That's impossible. No mortal should be able to have that much control or any kind of ability like that. Even if they did, it shouldn't work on an angel. Belmod said, sorry, but it's the truth. The more I dig deep and try to sense more of his power, it's like he just forces my sensing skills to just dull away. Kus said, Jiren's in trouble. Kale said, what makes you say that? Vados asked. Naruto's letting me sense his full power, and I can tell you now that however strong you all think he is, it doesn't even come close to what his full power would be. The reason he hasn't let you sense it is because he doesn't trust you with the information that comes from his hidden power. He knows you'll just spoil the surprise. He's waiting for the right moment to show it off. Kale said, do you think if we fused again, we could beat him? Caulifla asked, Caulifla, we couldn't even beat Goku and he was running on fumes the entire time he was fighting us. We would have easily lost to him had he been at least 25% of his full strength while we were fused. We stand no chance against Nar. Kale said, I had no idea he was so powerful. Do you think he was doing the same tactic against Vados when you were training? Champa asked. No, he's letting me sense about half of his full power as we speak, and it's amazing how far he's come after a year of training alone after I was his teacher. Vados said, I don't like the sound of this, my lord. Mixerida said, everything will be fine. Universe 11 will win. Belmod said with the utmost confidence fighting area. Nar was staring at the rubble which Garen was buried underneath and patiently waited for him to come out of it. After a few seconds, the rubble exploded due to Jiren blasting it out of his way, and he stood up panting with cuts all over his body as he was breathing heavy. This is unacceptable. I refuse to lose. I can't lose. Strength is justice. Strength is absolute. Everything I've worked for and gained is meaningless without victory. I refuse to be weak like everyone in the past. I'll never go through that again. I cannot. I will not, Jiren said. He began to power up to his max with a yell that screamed power. His power came off of him in the form of a firestorm, and his muscles grew, shredding the upper half of his uniform. Nar put his guard up a bit as he was nearly sent flying away from the power Jiren was releasing. He let out another yell as the power increase began destroying part of the ring. Once everything was settled down, Jiren came walking out of the firestorm he created with a deadly look on his face. Stance. Jiren's power has increased drastically. Piccolo said, it looks like Naruto backing him into a corner made him remember his past trauma. He realized the position he was in and decided to go all out now. Vegeta said, this is not good. Champa said, you have nothing to worry about. Remember, Nar still hasn't gone full power yet, my lord. Jiren may be stronger right now, but I'm not so sure it will last much longer. Vados said, quite the confidence you have in your fighter. Nobody has ever beaten Jiren when he uses his full power. Belmod said, the same can be said for Nar after he was done training. Vados replied, fighting area. The stare down between Jiren and Nar was broken up as Jiren rushed in with a punch that was deflected by Nar. They backed off for a fraction of a second and then began trading punches and kicks at an extremely fast pace, and the shock waves coming off of them was destroying the half of the ring they were fighting on. Jiren's fierce attacks and Naruto's calm moves cancelled each other out until Naruto caught Jiren's fist in the palm of his hand. No matter what, I will never lose. No matter the cost, Jiren exclaimed. He created an energy blast in his fist that caught Naruto off guard and sent him flying back. Jiren created a strong ball of energy in his left hand, then punched it in Naruto's direction with his right hand, and Nar had to jump out of the way. Jiren shot rapid energy blasts at Nar, making him raise his guard. And once the attack was done, Naruto looked down and couldn't find Jiren. He looked up and Garen was already firing his next attack at Naruto. And Nar countered with a quick attack of his own. They were stuck in a brief stalemate until Jiren added more power to his attack and overwhelmed Naruto. Nar tried holding back Jiren's blast, but it was too much for him to handle, and he was swallowed up by the attack sent into the ground before it exploded into a dome of fierce energy. The smoke began to twist into itself, and Nar came flying out of the crater straight at Jiren, who ducked out of the way of his fist. Jiren and Nar began teleporting away from each other before they caught each other with a kick. They met in the middle as a test of strength, and neither one of them would budge. And Jiren found this weird since he was stronger than Nar at the moment. You still have this much power left. You're a persistent bastard. Just stay down, Jiren said. Nar kicked Jiren in the gut, breaking the stalemate, and Jiren countered with punches that Nar dodged. Nar slid back and threw an energy blast at Jiren, which was deflected right back at him at a faster speed and exploded, sending him flying in the air. Jiren appeared above him and kicked him in his back, sending him down to the ground. To add insult to injury, Jiren fired another strong energy attack at Naruto's back, sending him crashing to the ground at a faster back. And then the attack exploded. Stance. No, Champa exclaimed. Yes, we've won, Belmont said. Nar Kaba said, it's not over yet, is it? Caulifla asked with a hint of worry in her voice. No, it's not over. Kale said, how do you know? He's face first in the ground right now. Caulifla said, just trust me, Caulifla. Kale said and looked at Vados, who had a tight grip on her staff. Come on, Nar, you can do it. No matter the situation, you've always got right back up when we were kids. This is no different. You have the power to defeat Jiren. I believe in you. We all believe in you. Salah believes in you. So come on and get back up and fight. Kale said fighting area. Nar began to stand up, albeit slowly due to his body being in pain. He finally made it to his feet and stood up straight, and Jiren was baffled on how he was able to still stand. Impossible. You shouldn't be able to stand anymore. Jiren said, it's not over yet, Jiren. Nar said, how? How are you able to stand after being beaten so many times? Jiren asked. Kale, Salah, and everyone else from Universe 6 are counting on me to win this tournament. As a Saiyan, I can never back down from any challenge. Nar said and powered up some more. Silence. Such a thing is meaningless before my power. Friendships are worthless. Bonds only hold you back. Strength is all that matters. Jiren said. He rushed in at Naruto, who did the same, and dodged Jiren's attack. He kicked Jiren in the back of the head, sending him to the ground. Friendships and bonds aren't meaningless. You have no idea how lucky you have it in life, Nar said as he kicked Jiren away again. You have friends, people that actually want to be close to you. You had your parents growing up while I had nothing. My entire home planet hates me for something I had no control over. I was banished from my home at the age of 7 and grew up alone. Someone I considered a friend broke all ties with me and basically told me she hates me. I was fortunate enough to meet Vados and Champa. Although Champa gets on my nerves and we argue a lot, I consider him something akin to an uncle. Vados became my mother figure. Nar said, it doesn't matter. My pain is far worse. My past is worse. Jiren said as he attacked Nar, who dodged him again. You know nothing of pain. Have you ever had to kill a child because he was so far into creating chaos that it left you no choice? I've ruined families by taking out armies of space pirates in my universe because they were so hellbent on causing war and destruction. The only thing that kept me from going crazy and ending it all was somebody I like to think of as my little sister. I have 4 important people in my life and 3 of them are in the stands. You have an entire universe willing to be your friend, yet you push them away. True strength comes from the need to protect something. That's why you will always be weak in my eyes. You're so stuck in the past that you refuse to grow and see what's right in front of your eyes. No more games. This ends now, Nar said. He powered up some more, and the faster than Jiren could see, Nar was already in his guard, punching him in the gut. Jiren tried to fight back, but it was just too much for him. Nar finished off his attack by slamming Jiren into a boulder and blasting him away. Stance, has he really gone through all of that? Cuss asked. Yes, everything he said was true. He's been alone since he was 7 after being banished for something out of his control and was framed for it when it happened a second time. Vados said, why was he banished? Whis asked. When he was born with his tail. Nobody knew what it was, and they couldn't cut it off because every time they tried, it would defend itself. The day he was born, it was on a full moon. When Nar opened his eyes that same night, his eyes made contact on the moon and he transformed into a giant ape. The king of their planet was able to take him far away before the transformation was complete. After the attack died down and Naruto was back to normal, the council decided that should he have another incident like that, he would be banished from Sadala. At the age of 7, somebody framed an attack on a city and placed some of the hairs at the destroyed city, and Naruto was banished because the evidence was too strong against him. He's been back once, but that's because he had to stand trial because he interfered in a Saiyan's job while exiled. He was cleared of all charges, but the hate against him was so bad that he had to stay in the king's palace and leave early in the morning. Vados said, "What happened to his parents?" Goku asked. His mother died after childbirth due to a slow-acting poison that was rotting away her insides. The doctors did all they could to save her, but she eventually died in the end. His father blew himself up the same way Vegeta almost did in order to let his team escape from a dangerous mission a few days before he was born. Vados said, "I think the icing on the cake that made him cherish bonds and friendship even more is when Caulifla ended their friendship over his opinion on something. He may not show it on the outside, but on the inside he's hurting a lot from that day, Caulifla. Yeah, he has me, Kale, Salah, and Lord Champa, but I think he'd be even better if you were by his side again. You should think about talking to him after all of this is done." Vados told Caulifla, who nodded. Fighting area. Jiren and Naruto were fighting all over the arena, creating shock waves that got stronger each and every time they connected on a punch. To somebody looking at the fight from the outside, it would seem as if they were even. But that's not the case. If you're actually involved in the fight, you could easily see that Naruto was in control the entire time. Nar punched Jiren in the face hard and then blocked a punch from him with his forearm. They went back and forth until Jiren kicked Nar down to the ground. Naruto landed and jumped out of the way as Jiren came crashing down towards him. Naruto while jumping back threw a punch at Jiren and the force behind the punch created multiple gusts of wind that hit Jiren and inflicted damage to him, sending him flying back through multiple boulders. Jiren fired more energy blasts at Naruto, but he dodged them and kicked Jiren down to the ground and sent a huge energy blast at Jiren that exploded on contact. Jiren stood up, but was kicked into a boulder by Naruto, who just landed and stared at him. "This is the power of friendship and bonds, Jiren." Nar said, and Jiren took a glance at Belmont, who looked over at Kale. "Who cares about friendship? Who cares about bonds? Who cares about trust? To accept that would go against everything I've become. I refuse to believe in such power. Such a thing can be easily erased." Jiren yelled. He fired a strong energy blast directly at Kale. Nar, seeing this, got up there in time and deflected the attack away from Kale. He landed on a floating rock, and if looks could kill, Jiren would be dead. "The power you believe in is easily erased." Just like that, Jiren said, "I'm no hero of justice like you pride troopers. I'm just a guy who does the right thing when it is called for. I don't usually go out looking to pick fights or start wars. But those who try to attack and hurt my loved ones, I'll never forgive them." Nar yelled. He powered up even more. And before anybody could blink, Naruto's fist was connecting with Jiren's jaw. Nar followed up with 2 kicks to Jiren's face and a judo throw over his shoulder before kicking him in the air. Jiren powered up as well, and they began fighting all over the arena, but it was clear to everyone that Nar was in control of their fight. Nar caught Jiren with an uppercut and then kicked him to the ground. He blasted Jiren to the ground with a powerful energy blast, and Jiren was lying badly beaten inside of a crater. "You shouldn't have gone after her. This fight would have been a lot easier on you," Nar said, and Jiren started laughing. "What's so funny?" Nar asked. "You may have been able to stop my attack on the girl, but you won't stop Belmont's." Jiren's stance. Nar turned around and saw Belmont shoot Kale with an energy blast that left her fighting for her life. Everyone was in shock at what just happened, even Mixerida. "Krillin, give me a Senzu bean." Goku said, "We only have one left." Krillin said, "Just give him the damn bean, Baldo. So help me, I'll kill you right now." Caulifla yelled, and Krillin quickly gave Goku the Senzu bean and he fed it to Kale. "She'll be alright, but I don't think she's waking up anytime soon." Goku said, "What the is your problem?" Caulifla yelled at Belmont, who had a smirk on his face. "Universe 11 shall win at all costs. No matter who or what stands in our way." Belmont said, "That was too far, Belmont." Cuss said, "I agree with Cuss. That's not the way to do things, Belmont." Mixerida said, "You dare disrespect me by not putting Lord before my name. I am your master. You live to serve me. Do not question what I do or why I do it." Belmont said, "He shouldn't have done that." Vados said, "Where's Nar?" Kaba asked as he didn't see him in the fighting area. "I'm right here," he said from behind Belmont. "He's eliminated. He's on the bleachers." Belmont said, "Actually, he isn't. If you look closely, he has energy blasts underneath his feet. So, technically, he isn't out." The Grand Priest said, "You hurt Kale. Now, I'm going to kick your," Nar said as he grabbed Belmont's neck and threw him into the fighting area. "This is bad," Vados said. "Why?" Caulifla asked. It's illegal in the tournament to fight anybody that's in the bleachers. Vados said, given the circumstances, the Omni Kings have agreed to let it slide. The Grand Priest said, do you all feel that? Goku asked, yeah, it's coming from Nar. Kaba said, and they all turned towards the fighting area. Belmod landed next to Jiren and gave him some of his power so he could fight again. And that's when Naruto landed on the other half of the arena that was split by Toppo. You really think you stand a chance against the both of us? You're crazy if you think that, Belmod said, laughing. You tried to kill my soulmate. For that, you're both tied for number 1 on my list. Nar said. Nar started to power up with a ferocious yell, and this time, the roar of a beast was easily heard by everyone, and it put Universe 7 on edge. Nar continued to power up, creating a huge cloud of dust, and the beastly roar became less and less as it turned more into a human grunting noise. He didn't power up for long, but everyone felt the power radiating from him. After the dust cleared, Naruto was standing calmly on what remained of the side of the ring he was on. It was just a small, skinny piece of the ring that was big enough for one person to stand on. His appearance completely changed. His hair grew longer and became wilder, reaching down to the middle of his back, while 2 long pointed bangs of hair were on both sides of his neck. The color of his hair changed from gold to his regular black. He had red trim around his eyes, which changed from his usual blue color as a Super Saiyan to gold with a black pupil. He had red fur around his entire upper body except around his stomach and chest, showing off his chest and abs. His tail also changed colors and became red. Stands. Up in the stands, all of the angels stood up and took a bow to Naruto as well as the Grand Priest. This action shocked everyone, even the gods themselves. Why did you all bow to him? Caulifla asked. Because what you are all witnessing has never been done before. Mixerida said, the current power Nar has coming off of him is far stronger than that of any god. Kuss said, Kuss was right in her assumption earlier. Naruto's power is indeed far stronger than that of a god. Vados said, ladies and gentlemen, on this day during the Tournament of Power, it is with great honor and respect that I, the Grand Priest, welcome Naruto into the ranks of an angel. The Grand Priest said, and then the god stood and took a bow as well. Fighting area, Belmod and Jiren were now terrified of the power radiating from Nar. It didn't help that the Grand Priest announced Naruto's new powerful transformation, pushes him into the ranks of an angel. It didn't matter that it was the ranks of a beginner-level angel. It was still nothing to scoff at. How do you like my new look? It's something I discovered while trying to control my Great Ape form. I took the power of the beast and used it while transforming. I like to call this form Super Saiyan 4. Now prepare for your defeat. Nar said and powered up some more. Nar was staring down Belmod and Jiren as he powered up and he could see the sweat drop going down the side of Belmod's face. He's never been in a serious fight with an angel-level opponent before outside of the occasional training with Mixerida. Jiren, on the other hand, was livid. Here stood a boy years younger than him that was far stronger than him. It reminded him of his past, and he absolutely refused to be weak again. So, who wants their kicked first? Nar asked as he finished powering up. Do you honestly believe you're strong enough to take both of us on? Belmod asked, playing tough, your bonds with friends and loved ones will make you lose. Feelings and emotions will hold you back. Jiren said, that's funny because at one point in time, you believed in that kind of strength. Nar said, I've always believed in strength and strength alone. Bonds make you weak. Weakness deserves to be erased. Jiren rushed in at Nar and then seemingly flew back through boulders. He got back up and charged in with pure anger and then suddenly stopped midair, then flew back again. Belmod was looking on in wonder and was slightly afraid. What's going on? Belmod thought. What a pity. 4 kicks, 2 punches, and a headbutt. Yet you failed to see them coming. Nar said impossible. Jiren said, fine, I'll slow it down for you next time. Nar said. Jiren charged in again, and this time Nar did slow it down for him, and the only thing people saw was his leg move on the last kick. Jiren flew away and seemed to be out for the count as of right now. Nar raised an eyebrow at this and just sighed. I didn't even hit him that hard. So, are you going to just stand there and piss your pants? Or are you going to fight? Nar asked as he looked at Belmod. Please, I have more than enough strength to take you on. Belmod said. Belmod flew in at Nar and shot an energy blast at him that connected and flew into the smoke. The smoke was cleared out and Belmod had his fist in Naruto's face and yet he didn't even move. Nar grabbed him by the neck and slammed him into the ground. Belmod fired a quick Hawkeye blast at Nar and flew away. Nar crushed the blast in his hand and then seemingly disappeared from his spot. Stance. What the hell? Hey, where did he go? Caulifla asked. I don't know. I can't see him. He's too fast for me to see. Kaba said, I can't ask Kale. She's still out. Hey, Lord Champa, can you see him? Caulifla asked. No, I can't. Champa said, he's an interesting mortal. Champa, do you mind if I take him to become the next god for my universe? Liquor asked. Sure, you can have him. If you can beat him, that is. Champa said. Hey angels, can you see him? Caulifla asked. Of course we can. We are all high-ranking angels and Naruto's only considered a low-level angel in terms of speed and power. Vados said. If you want to find him, just look at Belmont and see for yourself. Whis said, not taking his eyes off of the fighting area. Belmont was flying around, and when he looked back, Nar wasn't in sight. He flew around all of the rubble looking for him and never noticed Nar was laying on his back. Where did he go? Belmont asked. You sure do let your guard down a lot for a god of destruction. Nar said. Belmont turned around and didn't see Nar. He turned back around and then was kicked from behind to the ground. Nar appeared over him and stomped on his gut, making him cough up blood. Nar ducked out of the way from a kick from Jiren, who recovered from being knocked out earlier. Belmont stood up and wiped his mouth and started attacking Nar along with Jiren. Nar was having little difficulty blocking or dodging their attacks. He grew bored and started to attack them instead, and his onslaught was so fast that it looked like one fist would hit both of them at the same time. Nar kicked Belmont away and shot him with a majestic grenade, and Belmont went flying away, severely damaged. Jiren saw this and powered up and flew at Nar and started to throw punches and kicks that were blocked and countered with Naruto's own attacks. Nar tricked Jiren by placing energy blasts in his face, stunning him for a moment and then punched him in the gut before kicking him away. I hope that's not all you have to offer, Jiren. Nar said. From it, Jiren said. He powered up some more and appeared in front of Naruto and kicked him away. Belmont joined the assault and they began to pummel Naruto rather easily. And then Belmont powered up to half of his full strength. Jiren and Belmont would punch and kick Nar at an odd rhythm, indicating that they've never fought together before and that they're fighting for themselves instead of together. Jiren blasted Nar away, and Belmont threw an energy sphere with enough energy to destroy a planet at Nar, and it made contact, exploding on impact immediately. I'd like to see him survive that. Belmont said. Stance. Is he dead? Kaba asked. No, he's fine. Caulifla said. How do you know? Kaba asked. Think about it. He hasn't even tried to defend himself against their attacks. He could have easily deflected that blast yet. It still hit him. He's toying with them right now. Caulifla said. She's right. If Nar wanted to, he could end this tournament right now. Unfortunately, that's not what he wants to do. He wants to humiliate Belmont and Jiren for nearly killing Kale. Vados said, is Saiyan love really that strong? Mixerida asked. Oh yeah, it is. When Lord Beerus first showed up, he slapped Bulma and then Vegeta went nuts. He was like a man on a mission and pummeled Lord Beerus but lost in the end when Lord Beerus started to get bored of him. Goku said, and all of a sudden they felt an increase in power. That's Nar, Caulifla exclaimed. Fighting area. Belmont and Jiren were patiently waiting to see if Nar would get up anytime soon and didn't care if he didn't. They knew the power in that blast wouldn't kill him, but it would really damage him. Belmont was about to speak up until they felt a massive increase in energy coming from where Nar was. All of a sudden, the rubble was blasted away and Nar stood up with his aura flaring around him. If that's all the power a god of destruction and his mortal who was stronger than him can offer, then I'm truly disappointed. Allow me to show you what power really feels like. Nar said. He raised his power some more, and although the increase was a lot, he was still considered a low-level angel in terms of power. The aura around him turned a bright red and changed into the shape of a giant ape's head. Nar absorbed the aura into his body and then released it again, and it surrounded him like a usual Super Saiyan. But the static around him was a lot more fierce than a Super Saiyan 3. Nar took a step and then disappeared. And the next thing everyone who couldn't see knew, Jiren and Belmont were sent flying back. Naruto was on them in an instant and beat them both down easily. He used his spirit control abilities and created a clone of himself and sent it to fight Jiren while he fought Belmont. Stance. He can clone? Piccolo asked. Yes, he's been trained in spirit control and is quite skilled in it. Vados said. What's spirit control? Kaba asked. It's an advanced key manipulation technique known primarily to the Yardrat race. Spirit control allows its user to achieve a multitude of potent abilities through their ki. These abilities achieved through spirit control are used by shifting, splitting, and growing the user's spirit. Achieving good spirit control allows the user to sense ki from a much greater distance and utilize their energy to attack much more efficiently. Though at first this newfound ability to use their ki properly causes the power to be somewhat uncontrollable and they have to essentially learn how to use their ki all over again. Whis said, wow, so what abilities does this spirit control give you? Caulifla asked. As Goku demonstrated throughout his tenure in the tournament, instant transmission is one of them. Others include healing, cloning, gigantification, and forced spirit fishing. Healing and forced spirit fishing are both advanced and extremely advanced techniques. Vados said, so, which techniques can Nar use? Piccolo asked, I think he can use all of them. He's only shown me his ability to clone and become gigantic. Vados said, all of them. How long did he train in spirit control? Goku asked. I think about 3 years. It isn't much time, but he said the person who taught him was extremely brutal and tough. Vados said, do you think I can do it? Caulifla asked, not at the moment. No. Vados said, when will I be ready? Caulifla asked, when you are in perfect balance mentally and spiritually. Vados said, what does that mean? Are you calling me crazy? I am not crazy. Caulifla snapped and everyone just looked at her. Caulifla Kaba said, what? Caulifla yelled going Super Saiyan. Nothing. Kaba said, hey, you hormonal child. Calm down. Vegeta said, you want to fight? Caulifla said and went Super Saiyan 2. Please, if Super Saiyan 2 is all you can do, you're not worth my time. The only reason you survived against Kakarot as long as you did is because he was completely drained and running on fumes. If you fought him at full strength, he would have easily wiped the floor with you, even if you fused into Kefla. Your fusion wasn't even stronger than him at Super Saiyan Blue Kaukan X20. You were lucky he was drained and had to pace himself to recover his stamina. Vada said, Caulifla, calm down and let's watch the fight. Vados said and Caulifla huffed and powered down. Fighting area, Nar was throwing Belmont around and kept up his assault. Belmont was able to get some space and powered up to his max. Nar didn't even flinch and just kept beating his. It got so bad that Vados thought he was going overboard a little bit. Nar picked Belmont up by his ankle and started to slam him into the ground repeatedly and finally smashed him through a boulder. At that same time, Naruto's clone had just finished beating Jiren and sent him flying into the area with Belmont and the original Nar. You really disappointed me, Belmont. I expected more from a god of destruction, Nar said and blasted him away through more boulders along with Jiren. You think you're so strong. I still have an ace up my sleeve. Belmont exclaimed. He put his hand on Jiren's shoulder and before Jiren could move, he was absorbed into Belmont who let off an enormous amount of power that blasted Naruto back. The power was so much that the angels needed a stronger barrier to protect everyone from getting killed or blown away. What the hell is he doing? Nar asked himself. Nar looked to his right and saw the body of Gohan still passed out on the ground and used his energy to create a shield around him. Nar looked over at the area where Belmont was standing and noticed he looked the same except he had Jiren's muscles and his power increased higher than what his was. What's the matter, mortal? Afraid of what a true god power really feels like? Belmont said it's borrowed power, Nar said. Belmont appeared in front of Nar, punched him away and then gave chase. He caught up to Nar quickly and slammed him into the ground before hitting him with an energy blast. Nar recovered quickly and then they both disappeared fighting all over the arena creative shock waves and destroying the ring. They separated and Nar was looking worse for wear, while Belmont only had minor scratches on him. Belmont threw a Hawkeye blast at Nar who smacked it away and then received a punch in the gut from Belmont. What happened to all that strength you were bragging about earlier? Belmont asked. He choke-slammed Nar into the ground and started to repeatedly punch him while he was on the ground. Nar blasted him away and powered up and started to attack Belmont who had no choice but to keep his guard up. Some of the attacks Nar did were able to get through and did some damage to Belmont who started to feel weird for some reason, but he brushed it off. He grabbed Naruto's fist in his hand and knees him in the gut. He grabbed his neck and punched him in the gut repeatedly before finally blasting him away towards the edge of the ring. Behold the strength of a true god. None of you stand a chance against me now, not even you, Beerus. If he was considered a low-level angel in terms of power, then the angels must not be much in terms of power. Hear me now. All angels are to do as I say and bow down to me. Kneel before your almighty God of Universe 11. Kneel and obey me like the good little servants you are. Belmont exclaimed with an evil laugh. Stance, you guys aren't really going to do that, are you? Caulifla asked. It is an order, Cuss said. No matter how ridiculous the order may be, Mixerida said, an angel must always listen to the gods. Vados said, or we face the wrath of the Omni King himself. Whis finished. That's, Nar can kick his right. You don't need to do that. Caulifla said, with no one here to challenge him, we have no choice. Cuss said, I'm sorry, Caulifla, but Naruto's gone. I can't feel his energy anymore. Vados said sadly, he's fine. Kale said waking up. Kale, you're all right. Caulifla said, yes, I know. Naruto's fine. Vados, I can feel his energy and it's calm. He's just laying there for some reason. I don't know what he did, but he did something to Belmont during their fight. I can feel his energy inside of Belmont for some reason. Kale said, why would he give Belmont power? Kaba asked. He didn't give it to him. I don't even think Belmont knows that it's in him. Kale said, so where is Nar? Caulifla asked. He's about to get up now. Kale said with a smile. Fighting area. What is wrong with you stupid angels? I said kneel. Belmont yelled and released some of his power. Yo, clown on steroids, Nar called out. You're back for more, Belmont said and created a huge energy attack over his head. I hope you're ready, Belmont, because I'm about to make you my bitch. Nar said, gathering his energy for an attack, you simple-minded fool. It is the mortals and angels who will kneel before me. Belmont said, majestic destroyer cannon, Nar said as he fired his attack. Great sphere of destruction, smite thy wicked. Belmont yelled as he threw his attack. Both attacks clashed in the middle, and the power they were both putting out was tremendous, and the Grand Priest thought they would tear a hole in the dimension somehow. Every time Belmont added power, Nar would match him, and it would piss him off. You will never best me, you filthy mortal. Belmont yelled, you won't be me, even with that borrowed power. Nar said, they both added more power to their attacks, and it caused the Grand Priests to create a powerful barrier around everyone. And yet they were still feeling the power from the clashing attacks. Nar yelled and put more power into his attack and pushed Belmont's attack back at him. Belmont, refusing to lose, put his max power into the attack and was slowly pushing Naruto's attack back at him. Nar let out a yell and added more power to his own attack and increased the size of his attack, and both attacks were stuck in a stalemate. Stance. Holy crap. That's some power they have. Caulifla said, I don't think this is a normal tournament anymore. Kaba said, you can do it, Nar. Show that filthy god which universe is the strongest. Champa yelled, aren't you in the least bit worried about the ramifications this power struggle could create? Mixerida asked, not in the slightest. Champa said, Naruto's a strong person, but going up against the combined power of Jiren and Belmont is simply astonishing. The Grand Priest said, I agree, father. Do you think anything bad will happen with this fight? Kuss asked. My best guess is if it continues any longer, they can tear a hole in the dimension and end up somewhere unknown. The Grand Priest said, that isn't good. Whis said, hey, Nar, stop around and end it. You can end up in a different dimension. Caulifla yelled, fighting area. This isn't exactly easy, you know. Nar yelled back, you idiotic fool. You still dare to defy a god. Belmont yelled. He added his maximum power to his attack and it started going towards Naruto, who was struggling to keep his attack up. He started to get pushed back towards the edge of the ring. Nar looked out the corner of his eye and saw Vados and Kale looking at him with a worried expression on their faces. He let out a growl and spoke up. I'm not losing to a fake god. No way. Full power, Nar yelled. As he yelled, the same ferocious sound was edged into his voice and his attack at full power went straight through Belmont's and carried it back to him. And both of the attacks exploded when they came into contact with Belmont, who let out a nasty scream filled with nothing but agony and pain. Stance. All right, he did it, Caulifla yelled, jumping up and down. No, he didn't, Hit said. What do you mean? Caulifla asked. What he means is if he got them, they should appear on the stands by now. Vegeta said, he didn't kill them, did he? Kale asked, no, it's impossible for Belmont to die like that. There's a certain way you need to kill a god of destruction if you aren't King Zeno. Mixerida said, yeah, I can still feel the combined energy of Jiren and Belmont. Vados said, I do too, and it feels as if it's growing, but it's growing at an unstable rate. Whis said, but how is that possible? Beerus asked. It was Nar. The energy he placed inside of Belmont must have reacted badly to the explosion of energy from their combined attacks. Kale said, fighting area. Nar looked up and noticed Belmont was still floating there, but was severely damaged. Nar wasted no time and flew up to him and started to pummel him. Every punch and kick he threw had so much power behind it that you could feel the vibrations around the entire world of void. Naruto went for another kick, but Belmont grabbed his ankle. Nar powered up, broke the hold, and kicked Belma down to the ring and lost track of him in the dust. Nar let out a breath and landed on the ground. Now, where could he be? Nar asked, looking around. Nar, Belmont yelled. Huh. Nar turned around. Belmont let out a ferocious yell and a huge amount of power came off of him as he powered up. Nar and everyone noticed he was purple and he had a purple aura around him that Nar noticed was his destruction energy. He also noticed it was unstable and smirked that his plan worked. Grand Zeno, with your permission, I ask for the key to obtain ultimate power. I wish to become the ultimate god. I wish to invoke my rights as god of destruction and claim my seat at the table of deities. A cowering god that cannot defeat such a weak mortal can never prevail. Belmod yelled, raising his hand. Stance. He wants to do what? Beerus yelled. He can't be serious. Champa said. What does that mean? Kale asked. It means Belmod is asking for permission to absorb the power from the remaining Supreme Kais. Vados said. That doesn't seem so bad. So what? He takes a little bit of power from them. Big deal. Caulifla said. That is a very big deal. He's not asking for a bit of power. He's asking for all of it. Mixerida said. What's so bad about that? Kaba asked. If Grand Zeno grants him permission, he's taking all the power from them. And since Kais aren't mortals, they've been using divine energy their entire life, so it's in its purest form. The power increase would put him high above what all the gods combined would be. He would still be underneath us angels, but if we had to fight him one-on-one, we would actually have to try. Cuss said. What's so bad about that? I'm not seeing the problem. Caulifla said. It's bad because taking that power kills the Supreme Kai, the energy it came from, and it also will kill the god of destruction as well. The only way to bring them back is to defeat the god in question, or King Zeno takes the power away from him. Vados said. Why will it also kill a god of destruction? Kale asked. Because the life of a god is connected to the life of a Supreme Kai. Champa said. You're joking, Caulifla said. Sadly, he is not joking, Caulifla. Whiff said as they all looked up to the Omni King for his answer to the request. My lords, what shall it be? Will Belmod be granted a seat at the table of deities? Or will he be denied? The Grand Priest asked. We the Omni Kings shall grant Belmod's request. He is welcome to have a seat at the table of deities. The Omni Kings said. There you have it, Belmod. You have permission to sit at the table. The Grand Priest said. What? Everyone yelled. Can't we do something? Krillin asked. You can't, unfortunately. The Elder Kai said as he disappeared, and soon all the Kais gone and Beerus and Champa were fading away. Beerus said as he looked at him. I understand. It's been an honor serving you, Lord Beerus. Said and Beerus disappeared. Vados Champa said yes, my lord. Vados asked. Make sure Nurut doesn't eat my sweets. He said with a smile. I'll be sure to tell him. Vados said and Champa disappeared. I hope Belmod knows he's about to get his kicked. Caulifla said. What do you mean? Don't you feel the power coming from him? Krillin asked. Yeah, I feel it. But anyone with eyes could see that Naruto and Champa share a special bond. Belmod just essentially killed someone close to him. He's not going to let that go. Caulifla said, fighting area. Yes, this is the power of a true god. Belmod said he felt all of the power entering his body and he never noticed Naruto's power rising as well. Belmod still looked the same, but he slimmed down a bit and wasn't as bulky. For some unknown reason, his destruction energy was still unstable. And now, due to him changing forms, his destruction energy was visible around his head and flowing like a flame. His eyes became purple as well, similar to what Tapos looked like. And he also had the god of destruction insignia on his stomach and chest. He then started to speak. Revere me. Praise me. Kneel before me. Do not grieve for your fallen gods and Kais. I have arrived at last. The Omni King has granted me this power and I shall do right by it. Worship me, the beautiful, the strongest god of all time. The invincible, the almighty and divine. All hail, Belmod, he said as his voice changed into a combination of Jiren and Belmod. I'm not praising, Nar said. He powered up and nearly matched the power Belmod was putting out. This time, Naruto's aura became a dark red, and the static around him changed from blue to black. Up in the stands, everyone was surprised at the amount of power he was able to exert in his new form and braced themselves for the fight. I hope you're ready. After today, you will no longer be a god, Nar said. Both of them seemingly vanished from their spot on the ground, and then shock waves were all over the fighting area. The barrier the Grand Priest put up almost cracked when they got too close to it, but it held up. Nar and Belmod were moving so fast that if you tried to focus on them for a split second, you would miss them. Vados used her staff to show the fight at normal speed for all of the fighters in the stands just so they can see. Nar ducked a punch from Belmod and blasted him in the stomach. Belmod quickly recovered and faster than Nar could react, he appeared behind him and blasted him to the ground. The dust cleared and Nar was nowhere to be seen and suddenly Belmod was kicked out of the air and Nar gave chase and had to dodge a barrage of Hawkeye energy blasts that Belmod shot at him. Nar caught up to Belmod and then they vanished from sight again. They destroyed the timer in the ring for the tournament and now no one knew how much time was left. They didn't care though as this fight was too interesting to care about anything else. Belmod powered up again, and this time he took command of the fight. He started to pummel Naruto with his superior speed and strength and wound up doing major damage. Belmont continuously punched and kicked Nar all over the fighting area and would throw in the occasional energy blast. He used Jiren's power fist against Nar and sent him towards the ground and watched as he crashed through boulders. Belmont flew towards him and blasted him with a point-blank energy blast and jumped away. This is what happens when you challenge an almighty god. Who wants to be next? Is it you, Goku? How about you, Vegeta? I have a better solution. You loudmouth Saiyan girl. You shot an energy blast at me earlier. It's time I returned the favor, Belmont said. He appeared in front of Caulifla with his hand extended, and the Grand Priest had no choice but to lower the barrier since he somehow got through it. Any last words? Belmont asked with an evil look in his eyes. Yeah, you, Caulifla said. Belmont blasted Caulifla and anything else around her would be destroyed as well. He waited for the smoke to clear and when it did, no one was there. This shocked Belmont and everyone else who wasn't an angel as they saw what happened. Belmont looked around and saw Kale, Caulifla, Kaba, and Hit floating in energy barriers. Vados fixed the seating area that was destroyed and then the barriers vanished and the four of them floated back down to their seats. Who did that? Who dares interfere with a god? Belmont asked. He turned around and was kicked in the back of his head. The force behind the kick was so powerful that it sent a shock wave that made everyone cover their faces. Belmont looked up and saw Nar standing there in front of him, extremely calm, and his power level was skyrocketing. He looked to be in his Super Saiyan 4 transformation, but his power felt weird. Vados figured out what he was doing rather quickly. Stance. I hope he knows what he's doing. Vados said. What do you mean? Caulifla asked. He's combining the power of Ultra Instinct with his Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Vados said. You're kidding. Vegeta said. I'm afraid she is not. He's exerting the same pressure and heat as he did before when he used Ultra Instinct earlier. The only thing is he still can't attack in it. Whis said. I don't know about that. Kale said. What makes you say that? Cuss asked, making everyone look at Kale, who started to shrink from being put in the spot. Oh, well, Kale, relax. You can do it. No need to be nervous, Nar said telepathically. But they're all staring at me, Kale responded. Then look at me and talk. That way, you won't notice them staring at you, Nar said and cut the link. Hello, Kale. Are you there? Caulifla said, waving a hand in her face. Huh, Kale said, you zoned out on us. What were you thinking about? Caulifla asked. She was talking to Nar. Vados said, really? How? Her mouth didn't move and Naruto's not looking at us. Kaba said, I was talking to him telepathically. Anyway, what I meant earlier is that I think Nar chooses not to attack with Ultra Instinct. Kale said looking at Nar. That's quite the assumption. Do you have any evidence to back it up? Whis asked, intrigued. Yes, I do. Have any of you noticed how easily and quickly he can activate it? It's like second nature to him. You can even feel his power level in perfect balance. And despite his power quickly rising, it's calm and steady. He's in perfect sync right now, and none of us even felt him activated until we looked at him and felt the heat and pressure he gives off. Kale said, she has a point. I felt him activate it, but it was a split second between him activating it. You've trained quite the mortal, Vados. The Grand Priest said, do you think it will be enough? Kaba asked. Maybe he has to somehow defeat Belmont and separate the power of Jiren and the Supreme Kais from him. I don't think he knows the spirit fishing technique since it's an extremely advanced technique in spirit control. So, he may have to make Belmont willingly give up the power, the Grand Priest said. Fighting area. Don't think just because you got in a lucky shot that it means I'm defeated. Belmont said and stood up. I never said it did. Nar said from behind him. He grabbed Belmont by the back of his neck and smashed him face first into a boulder. He threw Belmont up in the air and he was right in front of him before anyone could blink. He started to punch and kick Belmont all around the world of void and actually tackled him through the wall and appeared out of the other side with a dark purple energy attack in his hand and blasted Belmont away. Belmont stood up and before he could react, he had a fist embedded in his stomach and coughed up some blood before getting kicked away. Nar started walking forward and then vanished, appearing behind Belmont and kicked him in the spine. He grabbed both of his feet and started to slam him into the ground ruthlessly and everyone could hear Belmont grunting in pain. Belmont powered up and broke the grin Naruto had and kicked him in the face. He was surprised when the kick missed because Nar ducked and it was at point-blank range. Then Nar grabbed his ankles and slammed him into the ground again and blasted him with a majestic grenade. Nar powered up again and then his appearance changed. His hair was now candy apple red. His eyes were now golden. His fur turned into a dark cherry red color, and his aura was now a Spanish carmine color. He successfully combined the power of Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan 4, and the power he was exerting was far stronger than Belmod. Stands, he did it, Kale exclaimed. I never thought I'd see the day a mortal would master Ultra Instinct, let alone take its power to another level. Whis said, he is truly amazing. Cuss said, I know Belmod's the god from Universe 11, but I can't help but be satisfied that he'll lose. Mixerida said, hey, Whis, how come we're not that strong? Goku asked, well, you and Vegeta don't have the incredible limits he does. You two had to break multiple barriers on your power to get to the next level, and it seems as if he's reached such a limit yet. Whis said, so that just means we have to train harder. My first person to surpass is your son who's playing possum right now. Vegeta said he's not playing possum. Goku said, yes, he is. And Naruto noticed him as well, but hasn't said anything. Vegeta said, why wouldn't he say anything? Krillin asked, hey, Baldy, have you not noticed the rampaging god of destruction? There's bigger things to handle right now. He'll just deal with him later. Caulifla said, would it kill for her to call me by my name? Krillin mumbled. Fighting area, big deal. Ultra Instinct means nothing compared to me. Belmod said. He rushed in at Naruto, who easily dodged every attack Belmod threw at him. Each time he dodged, he quickly hit Belmod 5 times. Belmod grew tired of the games and just rapidly started throwing random punches and kicks at Nar that were all dodged and countered with ease. The onslaught continued and then Nar grew tired of the games. He punched Belmod straight in the nose and broke it. Grabbed the back of his head and kneed him twice in the face before punching him in the gut and kicking him away. This is impossible. I have my spot at the table, Belmod said. He powered up and his destruction energy went haywire and started shooting off of him like laser beams. He focused the beams to attack Nar as best as he could and Nar dodged all of them while building up energy in his fist. The closer Nar got to Belmod, the quicker he had to dodge the destruction lasers. Belmod gathered every single ounce of destruction energy he could and created a large sphere in front of him. To hell with this tournament. The only thing that matters is your death. Be gone with the rest of your fallen comrades. I hope you see your parents in hell. Hawkeye, Belmod yelled. He fired the huge sphere of destruction energy at Naruto, who didn't even seem phased. Nar ran straight at the destruction energy and went inside of it. Everyone in the stands, including the angels, were shocked that he actually went inside of the destruction energy because that was enough to destroy 2 or 3 planets at once. Belmod was grinning like a fool since he figured Nar basically committed suicide. Everyone looked uninterested as the Hawkeye sphere started to smoke, then began to shrink. They noticed the sphere started to lose the purple color and was turning more into a rainbow-like color before it all was absorbed into Nar. Once the energy was completely absorbed, it came back even stronger around Naruto's fist in the shape of a giant ape. Nar rushed in even faster, and although he was quite himself, his attack gave off the roar of an angered ape, and Belmod was scared. Take this, you son of a bitch. Uzura's fist. Nar yelled. He punched Belmod in the stomach so hard that the colors and sparkles came out of Belmod's back and he coughed up a ton of blood and had a hole in his stomach the size of Naruto's fist. What shocked everyone else was that Jiren's body was now laying on the ground behind Belmod and he was unconscious. Champa, Beerus, and the other Supreme Kais all returned to existence and were wondering how they got back. Belmod was gasping for air and noticed he was back to normal. What did you do to me? He asked. Forced spirit fishing. It's a technique that allows me to separate and manipulate energy from my target. It grants me the ability to do things such as undo fusion or absorption techniques and free trapped souls. Coincidentally, it indirectly revives the dead. As you can see, since the other gods and Kais were brought back, Naruto said and kicked him over to Jiren's body. I'm supposed to be at the table of deities. Belmod said, no, you're supposed to be at the table reserved for gods. Just because you have access to certain power doesn't mean you should use it, especially when you failed to notice how unstable you were. Nar said, what do you mean unstable? Belmod asked. During our first little scuffle, I planted some of my energy inside of you. After the explosion from our 2 attacks, it reacted badly and it was too strong to be destroyed by your destruction energy. So, it sent everything haywire. You absorbing all of that divine energy didn't help at all. You've lost this fight the moment you attacked Kale. You never stood a chance. Look at you. A good kneeling before a mortal. It's fitting that this is how you end. Any last words? Nar asked and prepared a blast. Yeah, I will have my revenge. Belmod said. I don't care. Nar said and blasted Belmod and Jiren out of the ring. Stands. Jiren from Universe 11 has been eliminated. Therefore, Universe 11 shall be terminated. The Grand Priest said by the Omni King said and erased them. Well, that was one hell of a fight. Caulifla said, it sure was. Naruto really came through in the end. Fua said, I guess it's a good thing that we trained him. Champa said, I guess it is. It's nice to have you back, Lord Champa. Vados said with a smile. Lord Beerus, I assume you must be happy to be alive. Whis asked, I'll be happy once this tournament is over. Beerus said, we don't even know how much time is left. Goku said, yeah, that last fight destroyed the clock. Vegeta said, Grand Minister, how much time is remaining? Kus asked, I'll say about 2 minutes. He said, and everyone knew it was complete guess. Nar, get your in gear. We've got 2 minutes. Champa yelled, hey, what's wrong with him? Caulifla asked. They saw Nar collapse to the ground and his power level decreased drastically as he returned to normal and was dry heaving. He was in extreme pain and the angels all knew why. He's combined the power of Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan 4 after just mastering it. Whis said, Ultra Instinct itself puts a tremendous amount of strain on the body. Combine that with the power of Super Saiyan 4, and it's basically a double-edged sword. Nar knew the risks, but it needed to be done. Now, the question is, does he have anything left in the tank to finish off Gohan and win the tournament? Vados said, well, can he at least get rid of the damn shirt? It's hanging on by a thread. Caulifla said, fighting area. All right, one left. Nar said, seems you're out of strength. I've been in this situation before and I'm not letting you gather your breath and recover stamina. Gohan said he powered up to his mystic form since he couldn't gather enough energy to go to his new form. Nah, I'm fine. I just needed a small break. Nar said he stood up and ripped the remains of his shirt and started to power up. His aura was gold, but his hair turned red. He continued to power up more, and his aura and hair color changed a lot of different colors. One thing in particular got the angels and gods interested as he was powering up and his hair turned white for a brief second before going back to the color red. Naruto let out a final yell and his aura and hair color turned blue. He let out a breath and looked at Gohan who was shocked that Naruto had that much power left. His Super Saiyan blue form was still stronger than him, but only slightly, and Gohan knew it was only because of him being exhausted. I hope this is enough power to keep you entertained. Naruto asked. Stance. Whoa. I knew you said he could do it, but actually seeing him as a Super Saiyan blue is completely different. Caulifla said, yeah, I know. Too bad we can't feel divine energy yet. Who's stronger between them? Kaba asked. Nar is. Kale said, how do you know? We were never trained in sensing divine energy. Kaba said, did you not pay attention when Vegeta told us about the Saiyan bonds when they're soulmates? I can only feel his energy though and no one else's. He's not that much stronger, but it's only because he's exhausted from fighting Jiren. Belmod then Belmod after he absorbed Jiren and then Belmod after he absorbed all of the power from the Supreme Kais. Kale said, wow, Kale, you must really be in love with Nar. Caulifla said, yeah, I am. The sooner you admit your feelings, you'll stop taking sneak glances at Kaba when nobody's looking. Kale said with a smirk. I do not, Caulifla said with a blush on her face. Is that a blush I see on your face, Caulifla? Kale asked teasingly. Leave me alone. Caulifla said through gritted teeth. Fighting area. Nature and Gohan vanished from where they were standing, and shock waves were seen and heard all over the world of Void. They were both taking damage as each one was putting their all into their punches and kicks. Every time Gohan would hit Nar, he would respond with an even harder attack. I honestly didn't think you would have this much power left after that fight. Gohan said throwing punches. You should have paid closer attention to the fight I had. I was never recklessly using power. I was pacing myself. I knew you were watching while recovering your strength. Good plan. But it's not so easy to prepare for me. Naruto said and kicked Gohan away. Gohan landed on the ground and Nar landed on the boulder in front of him. They both heard the Grand Priest yell out. 30 seconds remaining and smirked. One last move, Nar said and jumped back. Yeah, one last move, Gohan said as he jumped back as well. Gohan prepared his Kamehameha while Nar created a small red orb in his hand the size of a marble stance. Why is his attack so small? Kaba asked. That's just how it starts off. Champa said, what do you mean? Caulifla asked. Well, this is another of his ultimate moves. It starts off really small, but even though you can't feel it, it has a ton of power in it. He used this against me during one of our training sessions. This is his strongest attack, but right now it's not nearly close to its full power. Vados said, how strong do you think this attack is right now? Kale asked. I'd say about 10% compared to the one he used against me. Vados said, how strong is that Kamehameha? Kaba asked, it's at full power. Gohan isn't taking any chances right now with Naruto, so he's putting everything into this attack. Goku said, from the power I'm feeling, Gohan's Kamehameha is just as strong as Naruto's attack. The amount of power he has is almost frightening. Vegeta said, so they're in a stalemate. Krillin asked. Yes, this final collision will come down to who wants it more. Whis said, I'm impressed that you've managed to produce such a strong warrior from your universe. Champa Beerus said, strong is an understatement. I thought he'd only be strong enough to challenge you, not actually be able to beat you. It's a shame he refused the position when I offered it to him. Champa said, you offered him the title of God of Destruction. Beerus asked, yeah, but he said he wouldn't do it because simply killing a species just because they are weak is stupid. He also said he wants a family and being a god would limit the time he spent with them. He also said that if King Zeno tried to punish him as a god, he'd rip his football-sized head off and shove it up his. Champa said he does know that King Zeno can kill him, right? Whis asked, yeah, but knowing him, he'd find a way to come back to life and try again. I'm surprised he lets him get away with the stuff he says to him. Champa said, it's because unlike you gods and angels, he doesn't fear him and the Omni King respects that. Vegeta said, whatever. Let's watch the end of this fight. Caulifla said, fighting area. Nar and Gohan both launched their attacks and they met in a collision. Gohan was momentarily shocked when Naruto's attack increased to the size of Goku's spirit bomb, but he recovered and remained focused on the task at hand. The power they were both putting into their attacks was strong enough to create winds that blew away a lot of rubble around them. Gohan was starting to lose ground and slid towards the edge of the ring, but he planted his foot and added more power. Nar felt the power increase from Gohan and used his power from Super Saiyan Blue and added it to his attack. Gohan did this same strategy and both of them were currently in Super Saiyan 2 forms. The idea they both had was they would decrease the transformation and use the power to increase their attacks instead. They both eventually used all of their power and were now in their base forms while their attacks were huge. Gohan and Nar were stuck in a stalemate and were waiting for the right moment to strike. They couldn't really hear anything over the loud winds and rubble being destroyed, but they briefly heard the Grand Priest yell out. 10 seconds remained, followed by the loud cheers and yells from their respective universes. As the struggle continued, they both found their moment to strike and flew at one another with their fists pulled back. Gohan let out a yell as did Naruto as they got closer to each other. And then the next thing everyone knew, a large explosion went off and a black smoke cloud surrounded the area. Stands. What happened? Caulifla asked. I can't see a thing. Kaba exclaimed. We have to wait until the smoke clears. Champa said, that was quite the battle despite it being a rather quick one. Mixerida said, I wonder who won. Kus said, whoa, that's some power they put out in the final clash. Krillin said, I know to think Gohan was hiding this much strength from us. I know he's not on Naruto's level, but he's the strongest in our universe again. Well, not counting Lord Beerus. Piccolo said, do you think he'll slack off again? Krillin asked. I doubt it. He just came close to losing his family forever. I'm sure this tournament will make him want to stay in shape. Piccolo said, Lord Beerus, you're awfully quiet now. Is there something on your mind? Whis asked. No, I'm curious to see who the winner is. Beerus said, I'm guessing the same could be said for you, Lord Champa. Vados asked and Champa just nodded. Win or lose, Naruto certainly come a long way from when we were kids. Kale said, what does that mean? Goku asked. When he was born, his power level was the weakest in Saiyan history, and nobody ever thought that he would become anything more than a low-class warrior. Kale said, what was his power level? Krillin asked. His power level was only 25. Kale said, what? You're kidding. Vegeta said, yeah, that's weaker than a regular civilian where we come from. Krillin said, she's telling the truth. When I met him, his power level was only 50 and then it just grew at an incredible rate the more we jokingly trained as kids. Caulifla said, to think he hasn't even reached his limits yet. Mixerida said, I know. He's definitely going to reach our level before he dies. Kus said, hey, where's the Grand Minister? Champa asked and everyone looked up and noticed he was missing fighting area. After the explosion and smoke cloud appeared, Gohan and Naruto felt their attacks connect and both wondered if the other was eliminated. The smoke finally cleared and everyone saw the Grand Priest standing between them with his finger on Gohan's fist and his hand clenched around Naruto's fist. If you looked closely, you could see that the force behind Naruto's punch must have moved the Grand Priest because Gohan's feet made a mark in the ground showing he slid back. That's quite the punch you have, Nar. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tournament of Power has reached its awarded time limit. The tournament is over and we have no clear winner. The Grand Priest announced. Then what should we do? Champa asked. That will be up to the Omni Kings to decide. The Grand Priest said. Everyone looked up at the Omni Kings and waited for their answer. They just stared at each other for what seemed to be an eternity. Nar started to get annoyed at this and was about to yell at them until a piece of tape appeared over his mouth and everything came out muffled. He just huffed and sat down pouting. What was that? Caulifla asked. Nothing. Just me getting payback for him making me angry. Vados said with a smirk. I thought you were supposed to be the mature one out of us angels. Mixerida said, I am. I can have fun a little bit. Vados said, and all the angels just laughed at her. The last time we asked you to relax and have fun with us, you blew us off, opting to look over reports from your universe. Cuss said, yeah, we didn't see you for another couple of years after that. Mixerida said, everyone, the Omni Kings have made their decision. The Grand Priest said, well, after talking between us, we decided that after such an amazing fight, a truly amazing fight, they shall both receive the Super Dragon Balls. They get to come up with a wish together, the Omni King said. And Nar was able to speak again. You can decide on the wish. I already have everything I need in life. Nar said, are you sure? Gohan asked. Yeah, I didn't actually have a wish coming into this tournament. I just came because of you idiot father putting my universe at risk. He's such a dumbass. Nar said see Kakarot even someone else from another universe thinks you're a dumbass you dumbass. Vegeta said Nar what did you just call him? Vados asked sweetly and Nar palled as everyone stepped away from him. I called him a lovely old man. Nar said why are you lying to me? I do believe I told you not to swear. Now you've been swearing a lot. Thought the tournament and since it's over I can give you your punishment. Vados said with a sweet smile. I'm sorry. Besides, you wouldn't hit an injured man, would you? Nar asked, putting on a teary-eyed look. And Vados used her powers to heal him. There, now you're healed. Vados said Champa. Come on, you've got to help me out. Nar said, sorry, I don't think you've earned my help. Champa said turning away with a smirk. What? That's underscore, I just saved your Nar yelled and palled even more. You just never learn, Vados said. And Nar flew away. Get back here, Vados said as she flew after him. No, you're going to beat me, Nar yelled. Take it like a man. Vados yelled back, chasing him. Should we help him? Kale asked. Nah, he's fine. Champa said. Ow. Nar yelled as Vados hit him with her staff, making his fly in a different direction. See, he's totally fine, Champa said, ignoring Naruto's cries of help. To think all it took was a mortal getting attached to her to make her come out of her comfort zone. Mixerida said as she watched Boss continuously catch Nar every time he flew away and beat him with her staff. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. I've been hit by her staff and that thing hurts. Whis said, come on. Isn't anyone going to help me? Nar yelled as he flew past them. No one help him. Oh, you're next. Vados yelled flying after him and everyone nodded. So Gohan, have you thought of your wish? The Grand Priest asked. The Super Dragon Balls appeared and everyone who never saw them were amazed by their size. Unfortunately, they appeared right in front of Nar as he was flying away from Vados and he flew right into the 7-star ball. Vados caught him again and started to beat him some more. I have thought of my wish, Gohan said and privately told the Grand Priest the wish. It shall be done, the Grand Priest replied. He moved out of the way because Nar came falling down to the ground and left a Nar-sized hole in the ground. Everyone looked at him and he had a few broken bones, some bruises, cuts, and one of his eyes was swollen. Nar lifted his head to say something, but just passed out. The Grand Priest summoned the dragon and spoke in a tone only known to the deities. The dragon's eyes glowed brightly for a few seconds before the dragon disappeared along with the Super Dragon Balls. What did he wish for? Krillin asked. He wished for the other universes and everyone who died during the tournament to be brought back. The Grand Priest said, why? Caulifla asked. Because I'm not a selfish person, and like Nar, I already have everything I need in life. Gohan said that was the purpose of this tournament. The Omni Kings wanted to test each of your ways of thinking. He wanted to see if any of you would be selfish and use the wish on yourself or use it on others. And Gohan has passed the test. The Grand Priest said, what would have happened if a selfish wish was made? Krillin asked. He would have simply destroyed all of your universes. Now we must be leaving. It was an honor to meet you all in Beerus. Champa, please do a better job at managing your universes. The Grand Priest said and left with the Omni Kings and everyone else left as well. Champa's planet, you know, I should really thank him for saving my life back there. Champa said, that's quite the change, Lord Champa. You've never wanted to thank anyone before. Vados said as she watched Nar joke around with Kale. True, but he saved me from death. It's better than what everyone else has done for me, Champa said. So, what will you do for him? He said he already has everything he needs in life. What is it that you could possibly do for him? Vados asked. I have an idea. I'll need a bit of help, but I'm sure he'll love it. Champa said and walked away, leaving Vados confused. So guys, what do you think about this Naruto story? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want more Naruto what if stories, make sure to subscribe to Universe of Naruto. Thanks for watching.